are your Google.
FoodForLiberty.com sells high-quality, storable foods from Numana. And right now, take advantage of our summer special. Purchase 2 family packs and we'll send you a Pro Pure Water Pitcher, a $70 value, free. This premium pitcher is ideal for use with just about any water source and removes more contaminants than other brands. And it comes with a filter that lasts up to 2 full years. Whether you need to be prepared in the event of an emergency, you're an outdoor sports enthusiast, Numana is known for high-quality, great-tasting, GMO-free, super nutritious food with no chemical preservatives. And with a 25-year shelf life, you can't beat the feeling of being food secure when you need it most. Go to foodforliberty.com right now for great-tasting, high-quality, storable foods from Numana. Buy 2 family packs and get the Pro Pure Water Pitcher free. It makes good sense to be prepared. Get it at foodforliberty.com.
You're 6 minutes away from a live episode of Free Talk Live, brought to you by freekeen.com. Listen live at freetalklive.com.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Friday, July 29th, 2016. Silver is trading at $20.10 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,335 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $660. Antiwar.com reports they've been fighting the same enemies for a while now, but on Thursday, Yemen's Shiite Houthis have announced a formal alliance with former President Ali Abdullah Saleh, leading to the establishment of a new ruling council with the seats to be split evenly between Houthis and Saleh's General People's Congress. The two sides agree to continue working together against the Saudi-led invasion of the country, which aims to reinstall former President Abdrabbuh Mansour Hadi in power. The pro-Saudi forces control the southern coast, including Aden, while the Houthis control most of the north, including Sana'a. Saleh was president of North Yemen from 1978 to 1990 and president of Yemen from its establishment in 1990 through early 2012, when the U.S. brokered a deal wherein General Hadi would be elected to a 2-year term as president in a one-candidate ballot. Hadi ultimately extended his term in office, claiming the country was not ready for an election, but lost the capital city of the Houthi government after a failed offensive against major Houthi cities in the far north. Hadi resigned in January of 2015, and Saudi Arabia attacked a few months later, vowing to reinstall him at all cost. The Saudis had sought Saleh's approval for the operation since he remained influential, particularly with the former Yemeni military. Saleh declined, claiming he wanted to remain neutral, but sided with the Houthis after a Saudi airstrike destroyed his home in a failed assassination attempt. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports U.S. soldier Private Chelsea Manning, imprisoned for passing classified files to WikiLeaks, now stands accused of misconduct stemming from her suicide attempt earlier this month and could land in solitary confinement indefinitely, according to her lawyers. The transgender Army private, who was born a man but revealed after being convicted of espionage that she identifies as a woman, was notified by the Army on Thursday that she was under investigation, according to the American Civil Liberties Union. The ACLU, which has acknowledged a suicide attempt by Manning earlier this month, said the 28-year-old soldier remains despondent over what the Civil Liberties Group describes as the Army's continued denial of appropriate health care for her. The ACLU denounced the latest disciplinary action as unconscionable. ACLU staff lawyer Chase Strangio said in a statement, "While Chelsea is suffering the darkest depression she has experienced since her arrest, the government is taking actions to punish her for that pain." Pentagon and Army officials did not immediately reply to Reuters' request for comment. A A transcript of the Army notice of investigation, as dictated over the phone by Manning to one of her supporters and posted online by the ACLU, makes no explicit mention of a failed suicide attempt. But Manning was told the inquiry stemmed from her July 5th attempt to take her own life, which led to her being hospitalized for 24 hours. The circumstances of the incident have not been disclosed, but the ACLU said it occurred in her cell and she lost consciousness. Manning has since been returned to confinement at the disciplinary barracks at Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, where she remains in a medical observation unit. The notice lists 3 administrative offenses for which Manning is under investigation: resisting the forced cell move team, prohibited property, and conduct which threatens. Manning has yet to respond to the charges. If convicted, she could face punishment that includes indefinite solitary confinement, reclassification into maximum security, and an additional 9 years in medium security. Manning, a former intelligence analyst in Iraq, was sentenced in 2013 to 35 years in prison after a military court conviction of providing more than 700,000 documents, videos, diplomatic cables, and battlefield accounts to the anti-secrecy group WikiLeaks. The case ranked as the biggest breach of classified material in U.S. history. Among the files Manning leaked in 2010 was a gunsight video of a U.S. Apache helicopter firing on suspected Iraqi insurgents in 2007, an attack that killed a dozen people, including 2 Reuters news staff. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Amid the catastrophic economic crisis spurred by Tuesday's release of This Christmas, the new holiday-themed album by John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John, economic experts told reporters today the Christmas CD has quickly plunged the nation into a double-dip recession.
When investors learned that one-time screen couple John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John had reunited after 35 years for an album of timeless Christmas classics, investors had no choice but to pull money from markets immediately. We were already on shaky ground with the collapse of the U.S. subprime mortgage market and the reversal financial crisis in Europe, but consumer confidence plummeted after Americans saw the new album with a picture of Travolta and Olivia Newton-John holding cups of hot cocoa. We believe that when other countries find out the album features a Christmas song that pays tribute to summer nights, we could be looking at a global contagion. This is the blackest day on Wall Street in 2 decades.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live, and you're invited to join us toll-free here. We'll give you the toll-free numbers, Skype username, and you can bring up whatever is on your mind. Lots of news to discuss tonight, including just some insane stories out of Venezuela. It's been a couple weeks since we checked in with the failing country, failing socialist government, and we'll give you the latest on exactly how bad it's gotten. Coming up here in moments with you tonight, it's Ian.
And Darryl.
Also on the way, Darryl, you're going to be telling us about Elon Musk, the founder of Tesla Motors.
Among other things.
Who is an alleged libertarian.
Yes.
Who's now going to supposedly make an argument. I have not read this argument for a carbon tax as a libertarian.
The headline from the Reno Gazette-Journal: Elon Musk makes a libertarian argument for carbon tax.
I don't think this is possible, but we'll give him a shot here, and we'll see what he has to say. And to start the show tonight from TheIntercept.com, Chelsea Manning, who those of you may not know by the name necessarily, used to be called Bradley Manning, and she was put into prison in Fort Leavenworth, which is a U.S. military institution, for the dastardly crime of showing light upon the activities of the U.S. military by releasing information.
Exposing things that if they were done by any other government in the world would be considered war crimes.
Yeah, exactly. And what was she sentenced to? 30-something years?
35 years in prison.
She's in her late 20s.
I still need to check, because the article from The Intercept says that Manning is currently in the 6th year of the 35-year sentence.
Mm-hmm.
I need to look to see if there is credit for time served, because the official sentence did not come down until 2013.
Right. Almost always you get credit for time served. I mean, obviously the military is different than the typical justice system.
Yes.
They can have their own rules. But that's generally the case. If you've been sitting in a prison cell awaiting trial, they will credit that towards your time in prison. Either way, it's a drop in the bucket compared to 30-something years. She apparently tried to kill herself on July 5th. We did share that news with you when it leaked out. In her cell at Fort Leavenworth Military Prison, according to The Intercept, now military officials are considering filing charges in connection to the suicide attempt that could make the terms of her imprisonment much more punitive, including indefinite solitary confinement. That is torture. Just to be clear, solitary confinement is generally considered to be torture because you are cut off from the contact with other human beings, except for, maybe a guard bringing you a meal a couple times a day. And that's about it.
Right. And I don't know what military solitary is like.
Probably worse.
But, the regular jail solitary confinement, you're in your cells for 23 hours a day.
Right. And the 1 hour you get out, you're alone. There's no one else out
Correct.
there.
You're alone, and it's for your recreation and shower period.
Right. Yeah, I wonder if there even is that hour in the military. Maybe you can get out for a shower and then you have to go right back in. I don't know. If you've been in military jail or the brig, whatever you want to call it, you can call in and share your thoughts here at 855-450-FREE. If you know more about this, Darryl, you actually were a prison guard for, was it a prison or a jail?
It was called the Westmoreland County Prison.
Okay.
But, it was the county jail. They called it a prison.
I see. That's unusual.
I don't know what the difference is.
And what state was that?
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. Okay. Well, Pennsylvania calls themselves a commonwealth, so I'm sure that they just do things differently there. But
like most people try to make some sort of distinction between prison and jail.
Correct.
I don't think there's really I think it's one of those, a distinction without a difference.
That's not what I hear from people who've been to prison. I have not been to prison. I've been to jail. And usually the jail is considered, at least up here, jail is considered a place you spend less than a year, and a prison is generally a place you spend more than a year. So that's one difference. But as far as the actual housing and what you can do in there, it does seem that the rules are different. As far as, like, in a prison, you can get more stuff from the commissary versus jail, where you can get some snacks, but you can't order a television set or something like that. But I agree with you. You're just talking about little minor differences.
Right. So where I was, the inmates could purchase a radio from the commissary.
You could do that in jail.
They were allowed, buy snacks, etc. But there were people that were in that facility for years.
Okay.
So, it had more to do, I think, with the offense that they had been convicted of than the length of time. Although some of the people that, the one guy in particular that had been in there for 5 years, he was gaming the system so that he could continue running his drug empire out of the county lockup. He had at least one of the guards working with him. Guard provided him a cell phone. There was a wire in the light fixture that allowed him to charge
the
said cell phone. And he was, continuing to run that. He had already been convicted and sentenced to, I think, life on something. He was facing a murder charge, but because he was still going through the court process, he was still in the county jail instead of being sent off to state.
Right.
And he was playing this game to where he would fire his lawyer, ask for a continuance on the trial, and then, the trial would start up again. He would fire his lawyer and ask for another and he was doing this, and he was able to pull this thing out for at least 5 years before the guard that was helping him wound up getting arrested.
Oof.
This guy got arrested. They figured out there was this extra wire in the light fixtures and had to go through, pulled inmates out of the cells one by one,
and
remove the
it.
wire.
Wow.
Yeah.
So here's what is the latest from Chelsea Manning. Possibility of indefinite solitary confinement for the suicide attempt, because, that's going to help her. with her problems.
Right.
While possibly denying her any chance of receiving parole. According to a charge sheet posted by the ACLU, Manning was informed by military officials on Thursday that she is under investigation for, quote, resisting the forced cell move team, prohibited property, and conduct which threatens.
Also, Manning is facing an additional 9 years incarceration. That's not in the article from The Intercept that you have.
In the weeks following her suicide attempt, she's been active on social media, thanking her followers for their moral support. I didn't know that. Manning's treatment in prison since her 2010 arrest has repeatedly generated outrage among civil liberties advocates. The punitive tactics that have been employed against her include stripping her naked in a cell on a nightly basis, extended solitary confinement, and denial of medical necessities like eyeglasses. In 2011, then State Department spokesperson P.J. Crowley publicly described Manning's treatment in prison as ridiculous, counterproductive, and stupid. Following a 14-month investigation into Manning's treatment by the United Nations Special Rapporteur on Torture, the UN accused the U.S. government of holding Manning in conditions that constituted cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment, particularly with regard to the extended use of pretrial solitary confinement.
And I did find an article from The Guardian where Manning did get the pre-sentence credit.
Mm-hmm.
So the 1,294 days of incarceration before the actual sentence has been credited towards the 35-year sentence.
So 3 years off.
3.5.
Yeah.
And because there was the large amount of solitary confinement, there was, I believe, 100 days that were just 112 days were knocked off of the total sentence.
Oh, how generous
of
our masters.
Because you were put in solitary confinement for most of those 3 years, we're going to knock off 112 days.
Whoopie-doo. And now she's looking at 9 more years for a suicide attempt.
And possibly all of that in solitary confinement.
The toll-free number tonight is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Yes, this is what your tax dollars are going towards. This is what you support if you support the existence of the federal government. And it's time to end this. It's time to secede as soon as we possibly can. We'll continue with more on Chelsea Manning and craziness from Venezuela coming up.
All right, listen up, because this is the most important thing you're going to hear all day. What if I said you could make money flipping houses without any cash, credit, or manual labor? And what if I said you could do it part-time from the comfort of your home? Sound unflippin' believable? Hi, I'm Preston Neely, and I'm going to prove it by sending you a free copy of my smash hit selling book, How to Get Rich in Real Estate. It sells online for $19.95, but I'm giving away free copies this week. To get one before they're gone, call 1-800-960-4295. I used to be so broke. I had my electricity shut off 9 times, but I figured out a simple way to make money flipping houses without even breaking a sweat. Now I'm living the good life, and so should you. Listen, if you're sick and tired of stressing about money, this book could change your life. Hands down, it's the fastest, easiest way to get started in real estate. Let me prove it. Call right now to find out how to get your free book. When they're gone, they're gone. Call 1-800-960-4295. 1-800-960-4295.
Are you worried about your mom or dad living alone in their house? Hi, I'm Joan London. Listen, I know how difficult it is to find senior care for someone you love. That's why I recommend a free service called A Place for Mom. They are the nation's largest senior living referral service. Call A Place for Mom today.
To receive free information on senior living communities in your area, call A Place for Mom at 1-800-704-6182.
A Place for Mom offers free one-on-one advice from local advisors and a personalized list of senior living communities you can visit. If you have questions about senior care for your mom or dad, there's a place for answers, A Place for Mom.
Call A Place for Mom in the next 10 minutes to get your free ebook on financing senior care, as well as free information on senior living communities in your area. Call 1-800-704-6182. That's 1-800-704-6182.
Is spreading the message of liberty and peace around the globe worth 15 cents per day to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as sub-Saharan Africa. Last year, we did a fundraiser that successfully covered the costs of continuing our African channel. This year, we're hoping to raise enough to fund a new satellite signal that will cover Europe, North Africa, and much of the Middle East. You can donate as much or as little as you like via the Indiegogo campaign at fund.lrn.fm. And there are perks available like sitting in on your favorite LRN.FM show, exclusive shiny badges, or even naming a satellite channel. Please contribute now at fund.lrn.fm and help us continue our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. The fundraiser ends August 19th, so please visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. That's fund.lrn.fm. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.fm? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.fm. That's LRN.fm.
For Bitcoin to be ubiquitous, people need to use it. For people to use it, they must have it. How can we get Bitcoin into more hands? Tipping. What if you could include a bonus Bitcoin tip along with your regular tip to a server? What if that Bitcoin tip returned to you if unclaimed after 30 days? An attractive business card Bitcoin tip that's easily claimed, gives instructions on wallets and spending, and returns to the tipper if unused. Tip.freetalklive.com. Tip.freetalklive.com.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You may join us here toll free. The number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype at Skype username LRN.FM, so feel free to reach out to us that way if you like, and you can talk about whatever is on your mind. We started out tonight with Chelsea Manning, the hero who has been put into prison for 35 years of her life for revealing information about the war crimes of the U.S. federal government in Afghanistan and probably Iraq as well.
Yes.
We will continue with the update there. She's looking at now another 9 years in prison for an attempted suicide. And we'll give you the latest on that here, but we're going to go to your calls and thoughts first. The toll-free number, 855-450-FREE, or Skype username LRN.FM. Also want to let you know about the Jax wallet. It's the official wallet of Free Talk Live, and there's no wallet like it. You can hold Bitcoin, Ether, as well as DAO tokens, and Jax has more currencies coming. Go to jax.io, jaxx.io. There's also Shapeshift integration, which means that you can exchange between those currencies right there, built into the Jax wallet. That is super convenient. If you've ever tried to exchange any currencies, you got to sign up for an exchange account, or even if you're using Shapeshift, you just have to go to their website and go through the process there, which is pretty easy. But it's even easier if you don't even have to leave your Bitcoin wallet. So go and grab Jax. It's cross-platform. You can get it for your Android device, your iOS device, Linux, Mac, Windows machines, also browser plugins for Firefox as well as Chrome. It is truly a cross-platform wallet, and it is the official wallet of Free Talk Live, created by Anthony Diorio, one of the founders of Ethereum. So go to jax.io. It's your digital command center in the palm of your hand.
And I'm updating it right now.
Oh, there's a new version? That's good to know. They've been updating it quite a bit, too. They're always adding new features to Jax. In fact, down the road, they want to make it so you can use Jax to command your entire digital life, from coins to contracts, currencies, identity, and more. jaxx.io. Let's go to Patrick. He's in Bullhead City, Arizona, listening to K-Talks. Hello, Patrick.
Hey, guys. I just wanted to let you know, you were talking about the difference between a state-run and, say, a county-run. The state would run under a director of prisons, and that would be your felonies, although some felonies are served out in county. But a state-run prison would be run by the state, run by the director of prisons for that particular state, and where your jails pretty much by a county and a judicial board that answers to the judges more than if the director of prisons, he's the top dog in Arizona. It's Chuck Ryan. He's the head of our prison system, and he's the one who oversees all of the prisons in our state.
So what you're saying is one of the differences between a jail and a prison is the bureaucratic organizational structure between them.
Pretty much. I mean, ARS or statutes are there. The only difference is you have the policies are set up different. It's like you say, it's a bureaucratic system, and the policies change. I mean, the inmates have to go through informal, formal, then the director's got to get involved. And actually, believe it or not, if an inmate has a problem, the director has the final say on that matter.
Now, are you experienced in these matters? Have you been in a prison as a guard or an inmate or prisoner?
Let's put it this way. I got probably 27 years in law enforcement, and 14 of those have been running in 2 different state prisons as a CO2 to a CO to a CO3.
Well, if you ever have any prison stories you want to share, we're always all ears here on Free Talk Live.
So just out of curiosity, I did a search for what's the difference between a prison and a jail. And the U.S. Bureau of Justice Statistics actually has this question on their FAQ. And it says, jails are locally operated short-term facilities and typically holds inmates either awaiting trial or sentenced to less than a year. Prisons are longer-term facilities run by state or federal government and typically hold felons and inmates with sentences more than a year. Definitions vary by state. So, again, it's one of those things to where there's a difference in name only.
Okay.
That's basically it.
Well, policy and procedure are different. Like, for instance, level of custody has more to do with a prison than it would be to a jail. How you would, what inmates would have their privileges and what they can and can't do. I mean, higher custody means higher custody, where open yard can mean where they have rights, and they got what they call phase programs to where they can work their way up to getting more privileges, or if they screw up, they get less privileges.
Well,
really
they've got those policies
right.
at the county jail here in Keene.
There is solitary confinement in county jail. There's R block where they can work. They can actually go outside. And then there's the D block and the K block, which they don't really generally go outside in those blocks.
Yeah.
And actually, one of the differences is that the county jail, there is no actual yard area, whereas at the prison there is.
The county prison that I worked at, the outside, and I'm using air quotes there, was a basketball court next to the cells, but because they had enough open space, it legally qualified as outside because they got a certain amount of fresh air, and they were able to see the sun for X number of hours a day.
Right.
Oh yeah, and like for instance in CDU or segregation, whatever you want to call it, they don't really get recreation. They get an area where they can go out. I can't really give too much information, but they can go outside, but it's still considered a confined area. So yeah, I know what you're saying. It really depends on the counties. And the level of custody out here in Arizona is based upon a point system. You have a public score and you got an institutional score, and depending on what that score is, where they're being placed.
Patrick, thanks for sharing your expertise with us tonight. I appreciate it. And like I said, anytime you want to tell us a prison story, even though you were a guard, you obviously have stories because there's all kinds of crazy stuff that happens in there. Feel free to call anytime and share one. Appreciate it tonight. Toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Manning, again, Chelsea Manning, facing now 9 more years in prison, according to Reuters. A story over The Intercept saying there was a 14-month investigation into her treatment by the UN, and they found that the conditions at Leavenworth were cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment, particularly with regard to the extended use of pretrial solitary confinement. The harsh measures that the military has employed have led to suspicions the government is attempting to make an example of her over her whistleblowing activities.
They are, but Daniel Ellsberg, who's famous for the Pentagon Papers, says that Manning's 35-year sentence will not deter future whistleblowers.
I sure hope not. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Although if you're going to blow a whistle, you're better off going through WikiLeaks if you possibly can, and try to cover your tracks. This is Free Talk Live. We're coming up. Join us.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today. Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug-out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of slingbow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Foodforliberty.com sells high-quality, storable foods from New Manna. And right now, take advantage of our summer special. Purchase 2 family packs and we'll send you a Pro Pure Water Pitcher, a $70 value, free. This premium pitcher is ideal for use with just about any water source and removes more contaminants than other brands. And it comes with a filter that lasts up to 2 full years. Whether you need to be prepared in the event of an emergency, you're an outdoor sports enthusiast, New Manna is known for high-quality, great-tasting, GMO-free, super nutritious food with no chemical preservatives. And with a 25-year shelf life, you can't beat the feeling of being food secure when you need it most. Go to foodforliberty.com right now for great-tasting, high-quality, storable foods from New Manna. Buy 2 family packs and get the Pro Pure Water Pitcher free. It makes good sense to be prepared. Get it at foodforliberty.com.
We've all heard about blockchain assets like Dogecoin, Ether, and Ripple. Bitcoin isn't the only player in the blockchain game any longer. And for those of us wondering how to get our hands on these digital assets, finally, there's a solution. Shapeshift.io allows you to buy and sell between your digital assets and Bitcoin instantly between your own digital wallets. I've used it with ease. Shapeshift.io. There's no account or email address needed. You send them the crypto you want to sell. They send back the crypto you want to buy. It's that easy. Shapeshift.io.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can join us on the radio. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Skype username is LRN.FM. Chelsea Manning facing another 9 years in prison for a suicide attempt, because that's going to make her less likely to commit suicide. We're going to continue with, there's a little bit more to that story here in moments. It's Ian and Darryl in the studio with you tonight. And speaking of tonight, when you go to bed, do concentrate on the position of your head and neck, because in many cases, chronic headaches, neck, and even back pain can be solved with the right pillow. Your spine should be straight and parallel to the floor, and My Pillow is designed to fit to the shape of your body and hold your neck in the proper position. I've been using it for a few months now, and it has been fantastic. It's a great pillow. I didn't know really what to expect. I was thinking, oh, God, it's one of these as seen on TV products. It can't be any good. Well, it actually turns out that it works very, very well. Darryl, you're still using yours, correct?
Yes.
So, yes, and you can also wash the My Pillow, which is something I've never heard of in a pillow in my life. Wash it in the washer, dry it in your dryer, not a problem. It's designed for that. You can go to mypillow.com, get your pillow there, but you got to use code FTL for the special discount, which is 2 for the price of 1, or 1.5 off. So there's also a 60-day money-back guarantee on this thing. So if you don't believe what we're saying, try it out for yourself. And if you, for whatever reason, you don't agree with us that this pillow is fantastic, then you can just send it back to them, and they will give you your money back. Use code FTL, mypillow.com. There's a 10-year warranty on the product itself. It's mypillow.com with code FTL. Let's go to Tim. He's in Milwaukee, listening online at freetalklive.com. Hey, Tim, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, guys, thanks. I want to say when you, Ian, and Darryl are on, it's a must listen. You guys do an amazing job, I think. But
thanks.
I'd love to hear Rich Paul again, because
you may hear him again in the future. He's funny. He's a great show host. Unfortunately, he had to leave Keene for the time being, so we won't be able to have him on anytime in the near future. But I believe he has told listeners that if they can raise enough money for him to travel to Keene for the show, that he would be willing to come out. I don't know whether that'll happen or not.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I was calling in tonight about the Hugo's water, Hugo, Colorado. The Lincoln County Sheriff's Department, which serves that area, took some field drug test kits that are notoriously false, or they provide false positives constantly. They took these tests of the water, which of course determined that there was THC in the entire city's water system.
I remember seeing those headlines, and then people saying, and now 20 million people are going to wind up moving to this tiny little town.
Right. So they did this false positive test and scared the heck out of everybody. Apparently, scientifically, marijuana does not mix with water very well, from what I understand. And it's kind of just a laughing stock. It hasn't gotten a ton of publicity, but I think it should.
Are the cops doing this because they want cannabis to be illegal again?
They were trying to fearmonger.
Right.
And I just pulled up a story from the Denver Post where they said that water in the town of Hugo is not contaminated with THC after all.
So they brought a real scientist in.
They brought in, well, I don't know if they're real scientists, but they brought in...
well, they used cops before, so...
Well, they used state tests to conclude that there wasn't THC. So I don't know how scientific-y, science-y they were. they were state level instead of county.
Well, if there was a man in a lab coat, that's better than a guy in a uniform.
Right. I think that that's exactly the situation. There's been stories going around in the quote-unquote liberty community recently about some pretty significant testing, I think, that took place in like 2009.
Testing of what?
Testing of these field drug test kits that cops use, like on the side of the road to throw you in, throw you in jail. And there were a couple stories on Cop Block recently that discussed like a guy with Krispy Kreme donuts.
Yeah, I saw that one too. I didn't know that they'd used the field test kit on that guy. He had like sprinkles of sugar on the floor of his truck, and the cops thought it was meth.
Yeah, it was glazed, like glazed from the donut, and he got like $100,000, and he.
Good for him.
Yeah.
I hope he sent a nice box of donuts to the police department after that, as a thank you.
Yeah, he spent a full amount of time in jail for it. But,
wow.
So anyway, it's an interesting situation, and
it is. And if you think about it, the amount of THC you'd have to dump into a water supply to taint it in any kind of like useful manner would likely be significant. I mean,
it would have to be a huge amount because THC is not water soluble.
Right. It binds to fat cells, I believe.
It'll bind to alcohol. It'll bind to like vegetable glycerin.
So it would all just sit there.
Well,
just sit there and like
a lot of the comments. There were a handful of like alleged scientists who claimed that it wouldn't bind to water, and they seemed pretty confident, and they cited some sources, and it was just kind of ridiculous.
Well,
and then,
these cops are desperate, man. They want their power back. They want their control back.
Yeah.
They want the budgets back, and they're going to try some really desperate things in order to do this. There's a related story over at Inc.com about police raiding cannabis companies, raiding legal cannabis companies, despite the upcoming recreational vote. So even out in California, they're still going after these guys after 20 years.
Yeah, and the feds have been doing it because they're saying that it's not regulated enough.
Tim, thanks for your call tonight, man. I appreciate you bringing that to the forefront. We'd seen the headlines, but we didn't mark it, so that's why I appreciate you calling in tonight. Thank you. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, and that's a good way to do things on Free Talk Live. It's like a talk show that does requests.
Yes.
Because requests on the radio are really BS for the most part. If you ever listen to a music radio show, for the most part...
Hey, guys, can you play some Def Leppard from 1992?
We'll try to get that on for you. I'll do my best to get that on for you. That's what every DJ would ever say that I'd ever worked with in the business, and they never did anything to get that on for the person. That's just what they said.
Yeah.
So their best was nothing.
Their best was, let me look to see if it's on the playlist.
Right,
nope.
yeah. If it happened to be on the playlist, you could act like it was a request.
This request goes out Jessica and Johnny and TJ. They all called in, wanted this song.
There was a request hour that they had me run when I was a fill-in music disc jockey at the rock station I worked for. And, back in the old days, they actually printed out a log. So there would be a printed paper log that would tell you what songs to play in what order. And now, of course, that's all been replaced by computers. But back in the day, they had a printed log. And so there were actually 3 open spaces on the log where in an hour, so, there were probably a dozen songs in the hour, but only 3 of the spaces were actual slots wherein I could put some sort of request.
Okay.
That, of course, did not stray too far from the established musical category.
Of course, because you had, here's all the stuff that you're allowed to play in this stack of. Did you have the audio carts or reels, or what did you use?
We were playing the music off of CDs, but we had carts for the drops in between the songs.
Okay.
So the toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. You can join us. Bring up whatever's on your mind. I've got that story about the police cracking down on legal marijuana businesses out in San Diego, and you can also bring up anything that's on your mind. This is Free Talk Live.
People who can afford a LASIK procedure sure are lucky. Imagine being able to throw away your contacts and glasses. Imagine waking up tomorrow with 20/20 vision. Too bad everyone can't afford LASIK. Well, guess what? There's a company that agrees with you. TLC Laser Eye Centers is now offering great prices on high-quality LASIK to make it affordable for everyone. That means you get the latest FDA-approved all-laser LASIK technology for less than what others charge. And if you call right now, we'll schedule a free appointment so you can discover if LASIK is right for you. Results may vary. Call 1-800-930-9765. Even better, if you're one of the first 100 callers, ask about an extra $400 off your all-laser LASIK procedure. That's $200 off per eye. We've already performed over 2 million procedures. Let us help you. Discover how you can get the quality LASIK experience you deserve for less than what others charge. For your free appointment, call 1-800-930-9765. 1-800-930-9765.
Dangerous blood clot device alert. If you or a loved one had an IVC filter placed to prevent blood clots from traveling to your heart or lungs and suffered an injury, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. The FDA warns that IVC filters may cause serious complications, such as heart or lung damage, internal bleeding, and even death. These dangerous blood clot devices can break, and the metal fragments can travel to your heart or lungs, causing serious injuries. If you or a loved one suffered organ damage or other injuries from an IVC filter, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Act now. Time is limited to file a claim. For a free consultation and free information, call Injury Help Desk at 800-478-1507. 800-478-1507. 800-478-1507. This is an advertisement. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. InjuryHelpDesk.com is responsible for this advertisement. Principal office, Las Vegas, Nevada.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. You may already know about the Free Talk Live audio-on-demand phone line at 641-793-9660. Did you know that not only can you listen to Free Talk Live via your phone, you can also leave a message and have it delivered to Free Talk Live's hosts? To leave us your thoughts, just dial 641-793-9660. That's 641-793-9660. Press 2 for Free Talk Live, and then hit 0 to leave your message.
There's no better app for tracking the value of cryptocurrencies than CoinCap. I've had a lot of apps for tracking Bitcoin, but none that's ever been able to track 500 digital assets at once. Their best feature is the Altfolio. I love this thing. You enter how many Bitcoins, Ether, Dash, Doge, or whatever else you have, and it tells you how much your crypto is worth. You can watch yourself get rich. If you have crypto, go right now to coincap.io, or you can use the Apple Store or Google Play to get the app. I love CoinCap. coincap.io.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
Free Talk Live. Dial toll-free. Bring up what you want right here. The number's 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Still to come here tonight, some crazy news out of Venezuela. It just keeps getting worse there. We will share that with you. Plus, Elon Musk from Tesla Motors is claiming he's got a libertarian argument for a tax, specifically a carbon tax. So I think he's wrong based on the headline, but I haven't read the story yet. Darryl, you've got that for us. We'll share that here in moments. Our toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. Skype username is LRN.FM. We just had a guy call in about the news headline of the police allegedly finding THC in a water supply in some town in Colorado. Turns out they're full of it. Turns out there was an actual professional test done on the water supply.
And turns out that scientists actually said, hey, wait a second, THC is not water soluble, so there's absolutely no way that you could have THC in the water supply.
Well, you could try to add it to the water supply, but it sounds like it wouldn't do a very good job of diffusing it
you could throw
water.
all of the cannabis plants in Colorado in the reservoir that the water comes from, and you would have zero THC come out of your tap.
So there was that story about the desperate cops trying their damnedest to make legalization look like it's dangerous to people. That's what they were trying to do there.
Make prohibitionists scared again.
Yep. Inc.com's got a related story. Midwest, a medical THC extract company in San Diego, was raided in January and again in June of this year. It's one of a number of cannabis companies being targeted for asset seizure, but with no attendant criminal charges being filed. And this is how it's been going for a long time in California. I thought they'd laid off, but apparently no.
Nope.
At 7:37 a.m. on January 28th, 2016, nearly 30 officers from the San Diego Joint Narcotics Task Force conducted a raid on Midwest Distributors, a licensed medical cannabis extraction company. The officers, decked out in helmets and tactical gear, clutching assault rifles and handguns, used a sledgehammer to open the door and then burst into the lobby. Once inside, the task force arrested the 2 employees present, cracked open the company's safe, and collected its inventory, more than 30,000 cartridges of cannabis oil and a couple pounds of concentrate. The Narcotics Task Force seized $1.4 million in cash, product, and money from various bank accounts belonging to owner James Sladek.
And let me point out, the reason that they had cash on hand is because of federal prohibitions of banks to do business with any industry that is involved with anything that the feds consider to be illegal.
Well, it does say here he had bank accounts. Maybe they were his personal accounts and the banks didn't know that he was marijuana business. I don't know, but it does say he had bank
that's why the cannabis distributors in Colorado, Oregon, Washington, and Alaska are not allowed to take credit cards, because the banks are scared to do business with them because of the federal regulation.
There was $325,570 in the safe. Midwest had been providing hundreds of licensed dispensaries around California with medical CO2 extracted cannabis oil and products under the state's medical marijuana law since 2010. The company was licensed by the city of San Diego and operating openly. Sladek says his company was raided a second time this year in late June and is now officially closed. Because you can only survive so many raids. You can only have your entire cash on hand extracted from you so many times before you're going to call it a day. It's over. We can't keep doing this. We tried to provide a valuable service to the people of California, to the businesses that are selling medical cannabis to patients who need it, and this is what we're rewarded with? We jump through the hoops that the government puts up? We've got the damn licenses they wanted us to get? We did everything by the book. And yet the police come in and they steal all of our product, and they steal all of the cash, and then what? We've got to hire an attorney.
They froze the bank accounts. Yeah. And, they do have to hire an attorney, but how are you going to hire an attorney when you have no access to money?
It's not going to be easy.
Well, apparently you start an Indiegogo and try to raise some money. And right now they've raised about $29,000 out of the goal of $150,000.
San Diego law enforcement used federal asset forfeiture laws to freeze and seize the company's cash and the money in their personal bank accounts, as well as the bank account of Mr. Sladek's wife, who's a federal employee at the Veterans Affairs Office, and his kids' college savings accounts. The San Diego, that's just total ruin right there. The San Diego Sheriff's Office, San Diego County District Attorney's Office declined to explain why they seized Midwest and the Sladek family's money, but neither of them has charged Sladek with a crime.
Because under civil asset forfeiture, you're not required to charge anybody with a crime. You're just required to say, we think this money is connected to something that may have been illegal.
Midwest is not the only legal medical marijuana concentrate company in California that has been raided recently by the authorities. Law enforcement agencies have also raided at least 5 other cannabis extraction companies since January. Jessica McElfresh, one of Sladek's attorneys, said state law enforcement started targeting concentrate businesses this year. Typically, McElfresh says the state had not used asset forfeiture laws against medical marijuana companies in the past, but has doubled down on the strategy with a focus on THC concentrate companies. McElfresh says the state is now using asset forfeiture to target legal marijuana businesses that cannot effectively fight federal asset forfeiture laws because marijuana is illegal federally.
So I'm on the Indiegogo thing right now for Midwest, and they have a video. And I'm watching this without seeing the audio.
With the footage of the raid?
The footage of the raid. There looked like about 20 people, all clad, walking into the front door.
Yep, after busting it in with a sledgehammer.
That's
what the story said here.
Right. It looks more like they broke the lock with something because it's glass door. So the glass on the door did not get shattered. So, they probably just busted the lock.
How nice of them.
And now they're in what appears to be like the back area. It's, no people in this room.
It was 7:30 in the morning.
So early in the morning. But the cops are just like pointing the guns randomly,
right.
And
as though they're entering into some sort of gang lair where there's a bunch of mafia thugs hiding around the corner ready to blast them.
Yeah,
I mean, this is ridiculous.
And
this
then
is a medical extraction facility.
There was a tiny broom closet that about 10 cops are standing around the door while one of them opens, and they're all pointing their guns into the broom closet. It's just absolutely insane. There's one person that they've grabbed in handcuffs, possibly out of the office. Might have been the owner of the facility. And, of course, the video, for some reason, this video has the faces of the SWAT team blurred out.
Interesting.
Yeah.
They must be proud of what they've done. Over the past year, we've seen more investigations, more raids, and systematic asset seizures of medical marijuana companies using CO2 to make concentrates more than ever before, says McElfresh. According to California state law, medical marijuana is legal. The laws are complicated and ambiguous, but the state has decided this is something they want to allow and regulate. And as the article points out here, it has been legalized since 1996. That's 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And they're still harassing these people who are just trying to provide a product that, by the way, concentrated THC means you don't have to use as much. It's concentrated. So you take less of the product in to get the same level of effect as opposed to, say, rolling a joint and smoking it.
Right. It's like concentrated laundry detergent. You use less of it.
Or concentrated anything, orange juice or whatever. According to California law, it is legal. Despite the fact that they legalized it in 1996 with Proposition 215, it has remained a gray market because the law was vague. It didn't cover every sector of the industry, and each city could adopt its own unique rules or ban the industry. Over the years, new laws were passed, like Senate Bill 420, to help create more structure, but the complexities left people in the industry open to prosecution at the state, local, and federal level. Last year, 3 bills were passed that collectively make up the Medical Marijuana Regulation and Safety Act, legislation that spells out rules, requirements, and licensing guidelines for all aspects of the industry. That act went into effect January 1st of this year, but the specifics are still being written, and state licenses will not be issued until 2018. That 2-year gap leaves the window open for police to continue to conduct raids and seize assets via federal asset forfeiture laws until this act is implemented at the state level. But who's to say that this new act is going to stop the police from raiding in the future?
It's not. They'll just come up with something like, here, they claim they had a search warrant for a hash oil lab.
It wasn't hash oil, though.
Right. But that's what was written down on the search warrant.
Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. The madness continues in Venezuela, and your calls and thoughts welcome on anything. It's Free Talk Live. DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phone, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com. Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you're helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com. Arcade City is a ride-sharing app built by drivers, not a mega corporation. As a driver with Arcade City, you can keep all of what you earn. Sign up now to drive for or ride with Arcade City at arcade.freetalklive.com. Arcade City is connecting drivers directly with riders and has been making headlines for disrupting the ride-sharing industry. Sign up now at arcade.freetalklive.com. That's arcade.freetalklive.com. DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phone, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next, after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene, the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Friday, July 29th, 2016. Silver is trading at $20.10 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,335 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $660. Antiwar.com reports they've been fighting the same enemies for a while now, but on Thursday, Yemen's Shiite Houthis have announced a formal alliance with former President Ali Abdullah Saleh, leading to the establishment of a new ruling council with the seats to be split evenly between Houthis and Saleh's General People's Congress. The two sides agree to continue working together against the Saudi-led invasion of the country, which aims to reinstall former President Abdrabbu Mansur Hadi in power. The pro-Saudi forces control the southern coast, including Aden, while the Houthis control most of the north, including Sana'a. Saleh was president of North Yemen from 1978 to 1990 and president of Yemen from its establishment in 1990 through early 2012, when the U.S. brokered a deal wherein General Hadi would be elected to a 2-year term as president in a one-candidate ballot. Hadi ultimately extended his term in office, claiming the country was not ready for an election, but lost the capital city of the Houthi government after a failed offensive against major Houthi cities in the far north. Hadi resigned in January of 2015, and Saudi Arabia attacked a few months later, vowing to reinstall him at all cost. The Saudis had sought Saleh's approval for the operation since he remained influential, particularly with the former Yemeni military. Saleh declined, claiming he wanted to remain neutral, but sided with the Houthis after a Saudi airstrike destroyed his home in a failed assassination attempt. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports U.S. soldier Private Chelsea Manning, imprisoned for passing classified files to WikiLeaks, now stands accused of misconduct stemming from her suicide attempt earlier this month and could land in solitary confinement indefinitely, according to her lawyers. The transgender Army private, who was born a man but revealed after being convicted of espionage that she identifies as a woman, was notified by the Army on Thursday that she was under investigation, according to the American Civil Liberties Union. The ACLU, which has acknowledged a suicide attempt by Manning earlier this month, said the 28-year-old soldier remains despondent over what the Civil Liberties Group describes as the Army's continued denial of appropriate health care for her. The ACLU denounced the latest disciplinary action as unconscionable. ACLU staff lawyer Chase Strangio said in a statement, "While Chelsea is suffering the darkest depression she has experienced since her arrest, the government is taking actions to punish her for that pain." Pentagon and Army officials did not immediately reply to Reuters' request for comment. A transcript of the Army notice of investigation, as dictated over the phone by Manning to one of her supporters and posted online by the ACLU, makes no explicit mention of a failed suicide attempt. But Manning was told the inquiry stemmed from her July 5th attempt to take her own life, which led to her being hospitalized for 24 hours. The circumstances of the incident have not been disclosed, but the ACLU said it occurred in her cell and she lost consciousness. Manning has since been returned to confinement at the disciplinary barracks at Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, where she remains in a medical observation unit. The notice lists 3 administrative offenses for which Manning is under investigation: resisting the forced cell move team, prohibited property, and conduct which threatens. Manning has yet to respond to the charges. If convicted, she could face punishment that includes indefinite solitary confinement, reclassification into maximum security, and an additional 9 years in medium security. Manning, a former intelligence analyst in Iraq, was sentenced in 2013 to 35 years in prison after a military court conviction of providing more than 700,000 documents, videos, diplomatic cables, and battlefield accounts to the anti-secrecy group WikiLeaks. The case ranked as the biggest breach of classified material in U.S. history. Among the files Manning leaked in 2010 was a gunsight video of a U.S. Apache helicopter firing on suspected Iraqi insurgents in 2007, an attack that killed a dozen people, including 2 Reuters news staff. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
McDonald's is now offering bereavement prices, and a sexual predator gets tenure. This is the Onion Week in Review. This Wednesday, Samsung announced the release of its brand new really big television. Representatives for the South Korean electronics manufacturer told reporters at a press conference that the gargantuan of an electronics product boasted a variety of new features, including being super heavy and having a screen that was probably 100 inches wide for all they knew.
We here at Samsung think this new product will appeal to today's consumers who are looking for a television that's really, really huge. I mean, this thing is built like a Mack truck. You just really have to see it to believe it.
In other news, an important decision is sent up to the company's highest idiot. And an area mother doesn't see why Thai people need to make food so spicy. Today's Onion Review was sponsored by Bamboo Garden, voted the best family-owned Chinese restaurant in Idaho for 5 years running.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live, launching into the second hour of the program. Of course, we got plenty of time for you if you want to join us here. Our number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. More on the raids that are being conducted on what are supposedly legal marijuana, medical marijuana businesses in the state of California. I had thought that they had backed down on this after 20 years, but no. Apparently, they're still going at it now, targeting the folks who are making concentrated THC products like THC oils, waxes, things like that. It's Ian and Darryl in the studio here tonight. We'll continue with that story. Plus, things are going even more insane in Venezuela. And on the way, Darryl's got a story about Elon Musk, the founder of Tesla Motors, who claims he's got a libertarian argument for a tax, specifically a carbon tax. And those things just don't seem to meld to me. Libertarianism and taxes, generally things that do not go together. But we'll see what his argument is. First, though, Sarah is in Albuquerque. You're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Darryl. Hey, Sarah.
Yeah, I found out I have OCD, but it turns out
Yeah, but both of my parents had obsessive compulsive behavior.
Now, how does it
And,
manifest?
Well, manifestation is like if you hoard food. Like, for example, like I can't leave the house without checking my doorknobs and my stove and my water like 10 times, and I would lock up the house and go back in and check it again.
Wow.
So that's obsessive compulsive.
Yeah, I would say so.
a
I mean,
lot of
because
my
it's not a bad idea to check the door behind you once you've walked out of it. Usually a good idea to check your pockets or whatever, your wallet, make sure you've got your keys on you, then close the door, and then check the lock. But you're actually unlocking the lock, relocking it, unlocking it, and relocking it, and then going back inside, that kind of thing, to check on the stove?
Yeah, well, I check my stove like 3 times until I get tired and I lock the door, but I feel like I didn't check it, so I have to go back in, open the door, and check all of my waters that are shut off in my stove.
So do you count how many times you check everything?
Well, sometimes it's 3 times, sometimes it's 5 times, sometimes it's like 7 times, and sometimes I'm so tired. I know it took me like 20 minutes. Sometimes I can't even never leave the house. I mean, that has happened to me.
You know, this is something I've never really understood. We haven't really looked into it in great detail on the show. I mean, we might have talked about it a little bit in the past, but with this level of OCD, I mean, it's one thing to have an OCD level of keeping things clean, maybe a little cleaner than some people would. But it sounds like you are you forgetting that you've got, like, are you wondering, oh, did I actually do this? And then you have to go back in to make sure that you did it?
Well, I know that I did it, but I don't think that I did it well enough, or I didn't, you know what I mean? I checked it 3 times, but I think that I did not check it well enough. But actually the root cause of it is, believe it or not, is anxiety. And
like the anxiety that you might leave the stove on and it could catch fire?
Well, the thing is, no, my both parents, they suffered from like financial anxiety. In other words, they had lack of money.
Well, you've got that taken care of. You're on welfare. You're sitting pretty.
No, what I'm talking about is passed on through the DNA. Remember, I was telling you that your traumas becomes altered in your DNA. It's passed on to their children. So my parents had financial traumas and anxiety in their life, and it manifests in OCD. They hoarded food. My dad was a hoarder. My mother was a clean freak. She had to steam clean the whole house
now,
every
normally
year.
those things don't go together, a clean freak and a hoarder. I mean, typically I've seen the show Hoarders before. I've seen hoarding in real life, and it's not something that I generally consider clean. How does that work exactly when you have two parents?
Well,
yeah, but one parent my dad was a hoarder. That's an OCD behavior. My mother was a clean freak. That's another OCD behavior.
But did your dad was she cleaning the hoarded stuff, or did your dad have his own rooms where he could have his hoard, and then she had her own rooms where she could have her clean? Because hoarded things are generally not clean.
No, they would have blown up fights over it. Because he would like start screaming and yelling, and she would go in and try to argue with him to clean it. I tried to clean it, and he would have his fit and temper tantrum.
Right. Okay. That sounds right.
So my grandmother was kind of this way, where she would, for some reason, not throw newspapers away.
That's crazy. That's a crazy hoardy thing.
Hold on. Here's the funny thing. When she would clean, she would move the stacks of newspapers from one room to another.
Well, at least she was cleaning.
All this comes from, like for example, Great Depression or victims of a Holocaust. Their grandchildren suffer with this OCD symptoms. If their grandparents were in the concentration camps. I mean, they would hoard food until it rots. And I used to know one Jewish guy. I mean, he would starve himself. He didn't have to. He would just starve and starve until he was so hungry, he's about to faint, and then he would go run into a buffet and gorge. But that's a symptom of being in a Holocaust. You know what I mean?
So what is your home like, Sarah? Is it a hoarding kind of environment, or do you not have the hoarding bug?
Well, I'm not a hoarder. I'm more the clean side. Like, for example, I can't shake hands. It's too slimy and too dirty.
Howie Mandel also can't shake hands. That's why he does the fist bump.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
He's a germaphobe.
Right.
Thanks, Sarah, for your call tonight. I appreciate it. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Well, that kind of explains a little bit more about Sarah. Dad was a hoarder. Mom was a clean freak.
Right, but I'm curious which one of her parents were scared of cars. Like, is that is that something that
she
learned from the parents, or is that something that she acquired on her own?
I'm sorry I dropped the call, Darryl. You'll have to wait until she calls tomorrow, because it's almost guaranteed that she will.
Yes.
Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. You can join us here. The toll-free number, 855-450-3733. In the last hour, we told you a portion of the story about MedWest. Now, MedWest was, I guess, a distributor of marijuana-based products, THC extraction. They would extract THC from cannabis and then turn it into cannabis oil and some concentrate, maybe some wax, that kind of product. Concentrated THC product. Anyway, Narcotics Task Force from San Diego came in there with about 30 officers, busted down the lock on the door with a sledgehammer, bursting into the lobby, seizing $325,000 in cash, seizing all of the bank accounts of the owners, even the college savings accounts for his children. The state is gearing up for a vote on legalizing recreational marijuana in November, according to INC.com, and that has left many with the impression that authorities are making hay while the sun shines. They're just trying to get money from us while they still can. That's why it's called smash and grab, says the owner of the company, Mr. Sladek. The prosecutors do not give us their prosecutorial strategy, but many people think drug task forces have become addicted to the assets. Law enforcement knows we have trouble getting banking, so during my raid, they found $325,570 in cash in the safe, and the cops were high-fiving each other because there's video footage of it. Asset forfeiture laws allow police to seize assets they believe are the proceeds of criminal enterprise without arresting someone and proving his or her guilt. Unlike criminal charges against a person, defendants of federal asset forfeiture laws have little recourse to get their money back. And by the way, when the feds seize assets, they give something like 80% back to the local police departments.
After the court hearing goes through.
After they get to keep it.
Yeah. United States of America v. $340,000. United States v. 1975 Chevy F-150 pickup truck.
Yep.
Blah blah blah.
I think it's Ford F-150, but regardless, that kind of thing. They literally have lawsuits against inanimate objects, and they win them all the time. Across the U.S., law enforcement agencies have seized $1 billion through asset forfeiture and marijuana cases just from 2002 to 2012. So in 10 years, $1 billion in assets.
And it should be pointed out, the reason that the feds win these cases is because someone has to step forward and say, that's my stuff, and then prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the stuff was not connected to something illegal.
We're going to continue because there's more outrageousness from what's happening in California with these poor people, these businessmen being charged. They're just trying to make a living. They're just trying to help sick people. And they got men with guns pointing them at them, raiding their facilities, taking their cash, taking their product. 855-450-FREE. It's shutting them down. It's Free Talk Live.
This is a warning to all household pests, to all cockroaches, spiders, ants, rodents, and other pests. If you've just made yourself at home in someone else's home, you'd better hope the owners never hear about Terminix, because Terminix has the know-how and the means to do whatever it takes to remove you from that home. Terminix has over 85 years of experience exterminating invaders like you. And right now, they're making it easier than ever for homes to be protected by offering a free pest estimate to every caller at 1-800-689-2939. Cockroaches, spiders, ants, rodents, and other pests. This is your eviction notice. With one call, Terminix will remove you from the home you've invaded. If you think you can simply come back later, think again. Terminix will protect that home with a 100% satisfaction money-back guarantee, so you can never return. Warning, homeowners are calling Terminix right now for a free pest estimate at 1-800-689-2939. 1-800-689-2939.
Limitations apply. See plan for details.
Dangerous blood clot device alert. If you or a loved one had an IVC filter placed to prevent blood clots from traveling to your heart or lungs and suffered an injury, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. The FDA warns that IVC filters may cause serious complications, such as heart or lung damage, internal bleeding, and even death. These dangerous blood clot devices can break, and the metal fragments can travel to your heart or lungs, causing serious injuries. If you or a loved one suffered organ damage or other injuries from an IVC filter, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Act now. Time is limited to file a claim. For a free consultation and free information, call Injury Help Desk at 800-478-1507. 800-478-1507. 800-478-1507. This is an advertisement. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. InjuryHelpDesk.com is responsible for this advertisement. Principal office, Las Vegas, Nevada.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. I know this sounds unbelievable, but at my house, we saved as much as 45% off of a new item on Amazon. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com. The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
This is your Roberts & Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Friday, gold is $10 higher at $1,346 per ounce, and silver is 10 cents higher at $20.31 per ounce. Bitcoin is currently trading at $653 US. Gold and silver have been a means of storing wealth during every financial crisis and war throughout history. To see how we can help, call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. Between the years 2002 and 2012, across the United States, law enforcement agencies have seized $1 billion.
That's billion with a B.
In asset forfeiture via just marijuana cases. We're not even including, meth labs or whatever other drug busts they might have made. Just marijuana-related seizures, $1 billion worth. And now you know why the police fight tooth and nail to continue prohibition, because there's big money in it for their departments to continue cracking down on this harmless plant that is not only harmless but is actually helpful towards countless people with various different medical issues. We'll continue with the story about one company that was raided twice this year, and they've had to close their doors now because they've just been exhausted of all of their product and cash. It's Midwest Distributors in San Diego, where they were raided earlier this year, and then again in June by the Drug Task Force. Also, want to let you know about the Free Talk Live Listen Line, the audio-on-demand Listen Line that allows you to listen to the Liberty Radio Network and about a dozen of its original shows. You can call it up anytime you want at 641-793-9660, and I'll give you that number again here in a moment. If you've got a data plan on your phone, no worries. This does not take any data to use the audio-on-demand Listen Line. It just takes your minutes, and most of you probably have unlimited minutes, so no problem. It is a long-distance number, not that many people pay long distance anymore, so pretty much for most people calling it, it's going to be totally free. 641-793-9660, and you can also leave us a message through this system. All you do is call 641-793-9660, choose number 2 at the main menu for Free Talk Live, and then press 0. Once you do that, anytime you can press it, you can start listening to the show on demand, and then if you want, you're inspired by something we've said, you want to leave a message back at us, you just hit 0, and then you'll be able to do that, and that message will be delivered via email to the host of the show. So that audio on-demand listen line, which allows you to listen to about a dozen shows from LRN.FM on demand, plus the live stream, is 641-793-9660. We're talking about asset forfeiture, wherein they've taken $1 billion in just marijuana cases. According to INC.com, during the same 10-year period, authorities have seized a total of $6.5 billion in all drug-related cases. So it's big, big money for them to continue this enforcement. The Wall Street Journal reports that the seized assets have helped fund portions of drug task forces around the nation, but as laws reform, that pivotal revenue is drying up in states like California, Colorado, Oregon, and Washington. Sladek, who is the owner of MedWest, which was one of the more recent victims of these raids, was until recently the CEO of a $12 million medical marijuana company. He was considered an industry leader and job creator and was a member of an industry investor group and multiple boards and organizations. Even though he's not been charged with any crime, Sladek says some of the industry organizations have asked him to resign. In one fell swoop, his business, savings, and his 2 daughters' college savings accounts were gone. Sladek says he had to borrow money from his 86-year-old mother just to get through the year and apply for federal loans to ensure his 2 daughters can stay in state school. He created an Indiegogo campaign to raise money to pay for his legal fees with the threat of an indictment hanging over his head. He says he hasn't been sleeping much. Henry Wachowski, San Francisco-based attorney, also represents Sladek, says legal medical marijuana businesses like MedWest operate openly and pay taxes, but most still cannot access the banking system, which makes them much easier targets for asset forfeiture than underground illegal drug dealers. And with this, because you know where the offices are.
Right. Because they advertise. They have big, huge, giant signs that say, "We have cannabis in here."
Pretty much. And with the lucrative asset seizure revenue stream threatened by legalization, he says police are motivated to pick the lowest hanging fruit while it's still on the vine. Still, police need probable cause to search a business. The search warrant for MedWest is partially sealed, citing a confidential informant. The unsealed portion explains that Detective Israel Hernandez believed that MedWest was using, quote, volatile chemicals, unquote, to make THC concentrate, citing a criminal violation of a health and safety code that carries prison time. The code in this case is HSC 113796, the penal code originally written to go after crystal meth labs, which was amended in 2015 to include cannabis. Even though medical marijuana is legal in California, the warrants say the medical marijuana defense would need to be affirmed by the defendants in court once they're charged, and does not prevent police from investigating companies suspected of controlled substance violations.
And because they have not actually been charged with anything,
they can't make that defense.
They can't make that defense. And in order to wind up, going the civil asset forfeiture route to where they're defending the rights of the stuff, they would have to be able to make a defense that they can't make because they weren't charged with anything.
Correct.
That's the judicial system for you.
The asset forfeiture warrant, written by Detective Mark Carlson, who's a cross-sworn officer for the San Diego Police Department and the DEA, says he had probable cause to search and freeze all assets belonging to James Sladek and his wife from various financial institutions based on the raid. In a hearing on June 2nd in San Diego Superior Court, Jorge de Portillo, the San Diego Deputy District Attorney, referred to the case as a long-term, large-scale investigation and mentioned that the DEA might be filing charges. In court, McElfresh cited Luis versus U.S., a recent Supreme Court decision that declared defendants are entitled to assets unrelated to alleged crimes, but the judge denied that motion. As for the money in Sladek's wife's account and the college savings accounts belonging to his daughters, the district attorney compared the money to, quote, a bloody knife that is seized at the crime scene. The college money, he drew an analogy between college savings accounts to a bloody knife at a crime scene. And apparently the judge supported him on this. The burden is on Mr. Sladek to prove otherwise. Federal and civil asset forfeiture laws consider assets guilty until proven innocent, the inverse of when people are arrested. Although no charges have been filed, the DA said they might pursue charges for, quote, sale of marijuana, manufacturing of concentrated cannabis, and cultivation, unquote. Sladek's lawyers are also concerned the DEA is actively participating in Midwest and other extraction company raids. Since 2014, Congress has included the Rohrabacher-Farr Amendment in the federal budget, which bans the Department of Justice, including the DEA, from spending federal money to, quote, prevent such states from implementing their own state laws that authorize the use, distribution, possession, or cultivation of medical marijuana. There it is in print. It's in the this is part of the federal budget, but yet they just do what they want. Right here, Wachowski says, quote, Congress has clearly said the DEA should stop interfering in state medical marijuana. This is the DEA ignoring the will of Congress and doing whatever they want.
Right.
What are you supposed to do when you have a system that purports to be the law? It purports to be run by a series of rules, when the agencies that are doing the enforcing of those very laws are actually ignoring what the laws say and just doing whatever it is they want? What are you supposed to do about that?
Some people would argue, and I'm not making this argument, I'm just telling you what some people would argue. Some people would argue, well, that's when you shoot back.
I don't blame them for making that argument. This seems like they are pushing people into a corner. If you can't use the system to change the system, what else do you have left? And again, I'm with you. I'm not making that argument. I don't think violence is the right answer. I think non-cooperation is the right answer. People should stop paying taxes. People should stop obeying the state. But then, of course, they're going to be afraid that these men with guns and flak jackets and helmets are going to target them next. It's a culture of fear. You can share your thoughts on Free Talk Live.
Worried about lead, fluoride, and other contaminants in your drinking water? Get a ProPure with the Pro 1G 2.0 cleanable reusable filter and remove up to 200 contaminants. Drink water the way nature meant it to be. Clean, crisp, and refreshing. See the complete line of ProPure products, including the new ProMax shower filter. There's a ProPure for you. Visit your authorized ProPure dealer for details or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
Money, power, and respect are all yours at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Be seen as an industry leader. You can do it. The last application you filled out when it was time to hit submit did your nerves spike. You didn't get the approval you seek, but there's a better way. We teach you exactly what to place into the right systems the right way the first time so you get approved. Get up to $100,000 in instant business credit. Many people will get cash on the spot. Use those two tools in your new corporate credit engine so you can walk into the bank and get your project funded today. It's all about today at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Credit Success Secrets Revealed is explosive and ignites instant results. Dial 1-800-707-8719. That's 1-800-707-8719. 1-800-707-8719. Or just go to CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com.
Did you know that Free Aid is a mutual aid, educational, and networking organization? At Free Aid, we support volunteers who provide first aid. We do outreach to the public about health and safety, and we bring together medically skilled freedom lovers. Free Aid is made possible by your generous support. Donors can receive great gifts like first aid kits, t-shirts, silver dime cards, and hoodies. The Free Aid Silver Dime Card Project is sponsored in part by Roberts & Roberts Brokerage, Freedom's Phoenix, and Don't Tread on Meme. Visit fr33aid.com.
Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster. So be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
Understanding your credit score is the first step towards managing and improving it. This is Charlie Sundstrom with your Van Dyke Mortgage Minute. The most influential component of your credit score is your payment history. Almost equally as important is the amount you owe on credit accounts. Also impacting your score, but to a lesser degree, are the length of time you've utilized your credit, the number of new accounts, credit inquiries, and your various types of credit accounts. To help achieve or maintain a healthy credit score, have a system set up to assure your bills are always paid on time. Don't max out your cards. It's better to have a high credit limit with a low balance. Never close old accounts. The age of these can actually help your credit score. But don't be afraid to use your credit. You need several accounts in order to have a credit score. Just keep the corresponding payments within your means. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykeMortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live, and you can bring up what you want right here, toll free, 855-450-FREE. Our satellite fundraiser is happening now. We've got some new perks that have been announced within the last couple of days. I was on Reaching the Finish Line with Callan Diggs, which is a show kind of like about improving yourself from a business sense.
Okay.
And Callan had me on. It's one of the shows on LRN.FM in our podcast lineup. He had me on his show to talk about the satellite fundraiser and LRN and, Free Talk Live, stuff like that. And he very generously offered copies of his ebook, Reaching the Finish Line, for anyone who contributes $25 to the fundraiser. Plus, you get a 1-month subscription to his radio service that he has, like a premium radio subscription for the $25 level. So that's a new level. We had a $50 level. Now there's a $25 level. And there's also now a $300 contribution level where you get a half-hour-long consultation with Callan. So he'll give you a career consultation for a half an hour, which, that's worth something. That's a lot of time.
And don't forget the perk that's not listed on the fundraiser page that we mentioned on Wednesday. The largest donor to the fundraiser gets to decide the fate of a specific thread on the Free Talk Live BBS.
That's right, the Dave Grady thread. So, thank you for the reminder on that one, Darryl. The fundraiser is going on right now, and it's going on for about another 3 weeks. So please contribute. If you value what we do here on Free Talk Live and you like the idea of spreading the message of liberty and peace to countries all around the globe, the satellite fundraiser allows us to do that. It'll continue our satellite channels in North and Central America as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And if we can raise enough, we'll add a third satellite channel that would be over Europe, the Middle East, most of the Middle East, and North Africa. So you can make it possible. If you got $5, we'll accept $5. Whatever it is you want to throw in there, thank you. Much appreciated. Of course, there's high-level perks and things like that. You can name a whole satellite channel if you want to sponsor a full channel all in one swoop. If you've got a whole bunch of money to burn, feel free to burn it over at fund.lrn.fm. That's F-U-N-D, fund.lrn.fm. And please, also, if you do contribute, or even if you can't afford to contribute, please share the fundraiser on your favorite social networking sites, because that makes a big difference when you do that. Our toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. Still to come here tonight, Darryl, you've got a story about Elon Musk, the founder of Tesla Motors.
Yes.
Who I've heard rumors this guy is supposed to be some kind of libertarian, but now apparently he's arguing for a carbon tax and allegedly is claiming to make a libertarian argument for a tax, which I'm still looking forward to hearing. We'll get into that. We're still talking about the ridiculous raids on medical marijuana providers in California. They're not raiding the storefronts right now, or maybe they are, but at least the news isn't getting out to us about that. The news now is about them targeting medical concentration extraction companies. So they're cannabis extraction companies. They're taking cannabis, they're extracting out the THC, they're concentrating it into like an oil form. And these are the companies that are being targeted. hundreds of thousands of dollars being seized, cash, $1.4 million in cash from one company out of bank accounts and product, and $325,000 in cash right out of their safe, seizing even the college fund accounts of his two daughters and also his wife's personal bank account. So they've been completely wiped out. He's had to go to his 86-year-old grandmother to get a loan just to survive. And they've got an Indiegogo campaign up that is attempting to raise $150,000. Where'd you say it was at, like $30,000?
It was at $30,000, but then I noticed that it was closed. So I don't know if Indiegogo shut it down or if it expired.
Yeah, it could have
because
extended.
they were initially rated back in January, and Indiegogo doesn't let you run these fundraisers forever.
They only let you do 2 months maximum. So that's what our fundraiser is. It's an Indiegogo, and it went with a 60-day option on that. So a little bit more from the story, and then, of course, you're free to share your thoughts.
Before we jump into that, because there was the question of what do you do when you can't get justice?
Well, because they're supposedly not supposed to be able to do this stuff. And we're talking about here this Rohrabacher-Farr Amendment, 2014. Congress included this amendment in the federal budget, which bans, supposedly, the Department of Justice and the DEA from spending federal money to prevent states from implementing their own state laws that authorize the use, distribution, possession, or cultivation of medical marijuana. So one of these attorneys is saying, look, the DEA is just ignoring Congress and doing what they want. What do you do?
Right. So I said some people would make the argument that you begin shooting back. And the claim is, if you shoot enough police officers, then nobody will want to be cops. Well, the evidence doesn't exactly back that up. There's new information out of Dallas that in the 12 days following the shooting of, a dozen police officers, 5 of them fatally, the number of applications increased 344% compared to the same time period in June.
That's interesting.
Went from 136 applicants during the 12 days, like June 12th through 19th, June 7th through the 19th, rather, the 12-day period. July 7th through July 19th, 467 job applications. That's an average of 38.9 job applications per day.
So that blows some holes in that theory.
Yes.
Interesting. Because, on the surface, it seems like it would make sense because most people want to avoid conflict. Most people aren't interested in, getting into a shooting fight with somebody. But the people who want conflict, the psychos who want to get out there and actually hurt people and get away with it, they see this as a golden opportunity.
Yes.
So they want to sign up for it. This is going to attract, this violence against police is going to attract more violent police because, we don't have the psychological assessment of the people who've been signing up for this. But I guarantee you that these cops or these wannabe cops are more likely to be badge heavies. They're more likely to be the people that want to wield power over other human beings. That's who would be attracted to a dangerous situation like that, the psychos. So back to the story here from INC.com, just to wrap it up. Sladek, that's the head of the company MedWest. It's now basically closed because of continuing raids by the government, the DEA, the California cops. He's a founding member of the California Cannabis Industry Association that helped politicians like California Assemblyman Rob Bonta write MMRSA, which is going into effect here in another year or so, to help institute clear laws and regulations for the industry. But as we've seen, it doesn't matter how clear these things are. The cops just keep doing everything that they want to do, and there's no punishment for them. A host of politicians, prosecutors, and district attorneys from all over the country have written letters to the San Diego District Attorney's Office asking them to return Sladek's assets and stop pursuing criminal charges. In one letter, the group of prosecutors and the DAs described the asset forfeiture as disturbing and illegal. So even other district attorneys, other prosecutors from around the country are saying, you guys are out of line. And when other prosecutors are saying, you should stop, you might want to pay attention to that. McElfresh says the U.S. justice system and law enforcement is experiencing certain growing pains as drug laws are reformed. Quote, you see changes at the macro level, but the micro level is more complicated and more difficult to change. He says, I think the long road is clear. Different states will have different laws and policies, but in the meantime, There will be problems ahead as reform happens. These cops were charged with arresting and investigating marijuana, and now it's becoming legal. It must be destabilizing to one's sense of self to look back on what they've spent so much time fighting, and they have to change. But Sladek has another idea. He says that during the last year of alcohol prohibition, now I didn't know this, there were more raids and arrests during the previous, or than there was during the previous 12 years during alcohol prohibition. So in that last bit of time, they cracked down as much as they possibly could to extract from these innocent, peaceful people as much as they could possibly extract before they could no longer do it.
Does not surprise me at all.
Quote, if you look at the history of alcohol prohibition and cannabis, there are a lot of parallels, said Sladek. Powerful forces are unhappy about legalization of cannabis, and they're not taking it lightly. Look, if you want to go into the cannabis business, goddess bless you. Thank you for your courage, but you pretty much have to expect to lose everything. If you're going to be openly distributing cannabis in places where it's legal, you are risking everything. In the black market, you only risk a robbery every now and then. It's usually pretty minor. But these kind of robberies will shut your business down and apparently keep your kids out of college as well. More coming up here. Free Talk Live.
Adam Kokesh has agreed to meet Bernie Sanders in any city in America on any day between now and the end of the year for a friendly debate on socialism versus voluntarism, in which Bernie can choose an objective moderator. To sweeten the deal, Roger Ver, a.k.a. Bitcoin Jesus, has offered that upon completion of a 3-hour debate in which both men have equal time, he will donate a total of $100,000 worth of Bitcoin to the charity of each man's choice, $50,000 apiece. Learn more at bernie.freetalklive.com.
Are you tired of governments around the world killing innocent people? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin is money that cannot be inflated or controlled by any state. By continuing to use their money, you're perpetuating the killing. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available to you now. Learn it, use it, spread it.
Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. It's Bitcoin.com.
Hi there, this is Dr. Joel Wallach, the Dead Doctors Don't Lie guy, and we're looking in this time of terrible financial crash, terrible meltdown of the medical system, we're looking to pay people obscene amounts of money if you become a student of our business at Youngevity. We will help you actually take care of people better than the medical system has. Think about it. We spend more money in America for healthcare than all the other 218 nations of the world put together, and they can't even solve weight loss problems. I mean, the medical system can have a total mental brain fart, and if you do this, you will be able to save an enormous amount of people from being overweight, being obese. They don't even know what causes obesity. Believe me, we know what causes obesity. In the medical system, they think it's from eating too much. It's not from eating too much. It's actually a mineral deficiency. Do you solve a iron deficiency anemia with a bone marrow transplant? That's what they think. Do you solve a mineral deficiency that causes obesity with a gastric bypass? That's dumber than a stump. Contact us at gcnminerals.com. Learn how to lose weight, look good, and save yourselves a gob of money.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. For years, LRN.FM has had a listen line that you can call and listen to LRN.FM anytime. Now we're taking the idea to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on-demand line. You can call 641-793-9660 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed, and you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long-distance fees may apply. Just dial 641-793-9660 and choose from the menu. 641-793-9660.
Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You may bring up anything you want here. Toll-free number 855-450-FREE. Still to come, the madness in Venezuela just keeps getting worse. And, wow, we'll tell you more about that on the way here. I think you'll be surprised by this. I mean, it was surprising to me, and it's hard to surprise me these days with how crazy and depraved governments can get. We'll get into that here, but first, Darryl, you've got a story about Elon Musk, and I want to invite you to join us toll-free 855-450-FREE, and join us in real life at HempFest, which is coming up in about 1 month. Actually, just a little bit less than that now. August 25th through the 28th. That's going to be coming up fast. NHHempFest.com. Free Talk Live planning to broadcast live from the event. We'll be in a VIP-only area, so you will need a VIP ticket in order to see us broadcast live. VIP tickets aren't that much more expensive than regular ones, but even if you can't afford VIP, you should still come anyway. It's going to be a great party, lots of music all weekend long. I mean, it's basically one big concert, from what I understand. But I've never been before, so I'm excited about going for the first time to this third annual NH Hemp Fest, happening for the first time at Rogers Campground, which is a place that Free Talk Live is very familiar with. We've broadcast there at a different festival in previous years, so I'm really looking forward to going to Hemp Fest, because I think it's going to be a big one, and we'll be hanging out all weekend long, so stop by. I think we're going to be running a Liberty Outreach tent of some sort, so I'm looking forward to doing that as well. So we'll see you there, nhhempfest.com. Elon Musk has been reported as a libertarian in the past, Darryl.
Yes.
And I don't know if I believe it. What do you got for us?
The article comes from the Reno Gazette-Journal. They say Tesla Motors founder and CEO Elon Musk made a libertarian argument in favor of a carbon tax during a recent visit to Nevada. Musk, who spoke with reporters for about an hour during a visit to the company's battery factory in Story County, answered a question about tax breaks the company got for moving to Nevada. He also addressed tax incentives for sustainable energy products such as solar panels and electric vehicles. Here's a transcript of the portion of the conversation in which Musk made a libertarian argument in favor of a carbon tax. His remarks on the Nevada tax breaks were covered in a previous post.
Without having heard the argument, I don't believe that it could possibly be libertarian. I mean, in order to be libertarian, you should not be taxing. If there's a tax, it would have to be voluntary. And unless that's what he's proposing, I've never heard of a tax that was really voluntary, because then it wouldn't really be a tax. But
lottery is voluntary. It's not called a tax. It's a tax on people who are bad at math.
That's just wordplay. It's not a tax.
It is,
right?
But hold on. In states that have the lottery for education, they do wind up lowering the federal or the state budget for the education out of taxpayer pulled portions.
I see.
So they use it as a supplement to tax dollars. So it is, in a way, a voluntary tax.
All right, well, let's see what Musk has here.
The question from the reporter: you're building this factory with more than $1 billion in state incentives. Solar panels get big tax subsidies. Cars get by with a lot of subsidies as well. Will these businesses ever be sustainable without these kinds of subsidies? Musk responds, with respect to some of the other elements for solar panels and EVs, that's shortened for electronic vehicles or electric vehicles, the big issue we have is that in reality, if you accept the scientific consensus, every oil-burning activity is subsidized dramatically.
That's true.
If you believe there's value to the CO2 capacity of the atmosphere and oceans, and that CO2 capacity is not being paid for by the price at the gas pump or the coal that is being burned for electricity generation or whatever its use may be, then every single fossil fuel burning activity is massively subsidized. This has become sort of an ideological issue because there are people who think that global warming is not true. So if you believe it is not true, then it is a subsidy for sustainable energy. If you believe it is true, then all we are doing is trying to match the inherent subsidy for fossil fuels, match that on the sustainable energy side. That's all it is doing. It's not one is getting a subsidy and the other is not. Fossil fuels are already getting a massive subsidy if you believe global warming. If you don't, then it seems really unfair. If you do, it's like, oh, we're just trying to correct it.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I read a bunch of words, and I honestly don't know exactly what I read other than he's using some mental gymnastics to say, well,
is he defending subsidies?
They're getting money, so it's only fair that I get money too.
That's what I heard there, yeah. So, okay, oil is subsidized, so he's saying we need subsidies as well to level the playing field.
Yes.
Because that's libertarian. No, it's not.
Hold on. He continues by saying the real right way to correct it will be to establish a carbon tax.
The right way to correct it would be to abolish the subsidies.
Oh, now you're just being logical, Ian.
Well, I'm being libertarian at the very least.
Yes, and logical.
Yeah.
He continues, if you ask any economist, they will tell you that it's the obvious thing to do. Put the correct price on carbon, because we currently have an error in the economy which misprices carbon at zero or something close to zero. It's a fundamental economic error. For people that have a sort of libertarian bent, they get a little confused because they need to appreciate the high-level principle of why they are opposed to the government intervention. They are actually opposed to government intervention because it causes false pricing. If the government says we're going to massively incent the production of corn, so that effectively corn gets mispriced and we make too much corn, that actually then does not benefit the country if you make too much of something because the government has driven the pricing error.
That's true. But libertarians aren't necessarily against it because of the results. They're generally against it because of the force that's being used.
And this is what happens when you have people that don't understand libertarianism calling themselves libertarians.
Correct.
Is they think we're opposed to something because of the end result, not because of what happens before the end result is ever reached.
Right. I mean, I've subsidized things before. The Keene Activist Center was subsidized by me for a number of years, and I did that because the end goal was, to me, worth the subsidy, which was to have a place where the community could come together. But I did not do that by taxing others. I did not do that by using the threat of violence against anyone to get those subsidies. And that's what the government is doing every time.
And to put his example here, his false understanding to another example, if I punch you in the nose and you begin bleeding, it was not wrong of me to punch you in the nose because you bled.
Right.
It was wrong of me to punch you in the nose because it's wrong to initiate force against another person.
Exactly.
The bleeding is the end result, and that's also not good. He continues with his answer. He says, that is bad for people. That is sort of what people with the libertarian bent are opposed to, that being the whole government causes the pricing error. He says, however, if you have something where you have been an unpriced externality, so that you have the case of the CO2 capacity of the oceans and the atmosphere priced very close to zero, then any government action to increase the price above zero reduces the error in the economy. I'm getting sort of esoteric in this economics here.
So what he's saying, let me see if I can follow this here. If the government adds a carbon tax, that will somehow balance out the subsidies that the oil has.
It gets the price of carbon closer to what it should be instead of being closer to free.
So we're going to correct an error by making more errors.
Yes.
By manipulating the economy ever further. And he's calling that libertarian.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. This guy is full of it.
And then one thing that's interesting is people that have greenhouses will actually pump CO2 into the greenhouse.
Yeah.
Because plants
they live off that
turn carbon dioxide into oxygen. So when you have an increase in carbon dioxide, what that actually means is you don't have enough plants.
The toll-free number, if you want to join us tonight, is 855-450-FREE. Does he have any more brilliance to share on this?
There's just a little bit more where he says, I'm getting sort of esoteric in economics here. So what they should actually be opposed to is anything that increases the error in the economy, a pricing information error. So pricing carbon, if you believe in global warming, does not increase the price of the error. It decreases the price of the error.
No, the error is in that a centralized government bureaucracy cannot decide the prices of things.
Yes.
And you should have learned that from the Soviet Union and other examples of centralized command and control pricing things. You know, back when the Russian government actually had to use a Sears catalog to try to figure out what prices should be because they don't know.
Maybe the Venezuelan government needs to get a Sears catalog.
Oh, boy. Venezuela's way beyond that point. This is Free Talk Live. We'll tell you about it coming up.
They can use it for toilet paper.
For Bitcoin to be ubiquitous, people need to use it. For people to use it, they must have it. How can we get Bitcoin into more hands? Well, tipping might be a great way. What if you could include a bonus Bitcoin tip along with your regular tip to a server? What if that Bitcoin returned to you if unclaimed after 30 days? An attractive business card-sized Bitcoin tip that is easily claimed, gives instructions on wallets, spending, and returns to the user if unused? Tip.freetalklive.com. Tip.freetalklive.com.
Are you searching for your soulmate? Someone you can trust, who will never betray you? Or cooperate with the NSA? Stop searching. With EasyDNS, you found a keeper. EasyDNS does it all. Domain names, web hosting, and managed WordPress hosting. EasyDNS stands up for your internet freedom. And with servers in Canada, they do not cooperate with the NSA. Go to EasyDNS.com. You'll love their services or get a full refund. They guarantee it. And they accept Bitcoin. That's EasyDNS.com.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Nesquik. Try Nesquik 4-packs, perfect for lunches and great for kids on the go. Look for it in the juice aisle. Snack time is a great chance to sneak extra calcium into your child's diet without making him feel like he's eating something he doesn't want. Serve up dairy-rich foods like smoothies, flavored milk, frozen yogurt, and string cheese. He'll love the treat, and you'll love knowing how good it is for him. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Friday, July 29th, 2016. Silver is trading at $20.10 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,335 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $660. Antiwar.com reports they've been fighting the same enemies for a while now, but on Thursday, Yemen's Shiite Houthis have announced a formal alliance with former President Ali Abdullah Saleh, leading to the establishment of a new ruling council with the seats to be split evenly between Houthis and Saleh's General People's Congress. The two sides agree to continue working together against the Saudi-led invasion of the country, which aims to reinstall former President Abdrabbu Mansour Hadi in power. The pro-Saudi forces control the southern coast, including Aden, while the Houthis control most of the north, including Sana'a. Saleh was president of North Yemen from 1978 to 1990 and president of Yemen from its establishment in 1990 through early 2012, when the U.S. brokered a deal wherein General Hadi would be elected to a 2-year term as president in a one-candidate ballot. Hadi ultimately extended his term in office, claiming the country was not ready for an election, but lost the capital city of the Houthi government after a failed offensive against major Houthi cities in the far north. Hadi resigned in January of 2015, and Saudi Arabia attacked a few months later, vowing to reinstall him at all cost. The Saudis had sought Salah's approval for the operation since he remained influential, particularly with the former Yemeni military. Salah declined, claiming he wanted to remain neutral, but sided with the Houthis after a Saudi airstrike destroyed his home in a failed assassination attempt. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports U.S. soldier Private Chelsea Manning, imprisoned for passing classified files to WikiLeaks, now stands accused of misconduct stemming from her suicide attempt earlier this month and could land in solitary confinement indefinitely, according to her lawyers. The transgender Army private, who was born a man but revealed after being convicted of espionage that she identifies as a woman, was notified by the Army on Thursday that she was under investigation, according to the American Civil Liberties Union. The ACLU, which has acknowledged a suicide attempt by Manning earlier this month, said the 28-year-old soldier remains despondent over what the Civil Liberties Group describes as the Army's continued denial of appropriate health care for her. The ACLU denounced the latest disciplinary action as unconscionable. ACLU staff lawyer Chase Strangio said in a statement, "While Chelsea is suffering the darkest depression she has experienced since her arrest, the government is taking actions to punish her for that pain." Pentagon and Army officials did not immediately reply to Reuters' request for comment. A transcript of the Army notice of investigation, as dictated over the phone by Manning to one of her supporters and posted online by the ACLU, makes no explicit mention of a failed suicide attempt. But Manning was told the inquiry stemmed from her July 5th attempt to take her own life, which led to her being hospitalized for 24 hours. The circumstances of the incident have not been disclosed, but the ACLU said it occurred in her cell and she lost consciousness. Manning has since been returned to confinement at the disciplinary barracks at Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, where she remains in a medical observation unit. The notice lists 3 administrative offenses for which Manning is under investigation: resisting the forced cell move team, prohibited property, and conduct which threatens. Manning has yet to respond to the charges. If convicted, she could face punishment that includes indefinite solitary confinement, reclassification into maximum security, and an additional 9 years in medium security. Manning, a former intelligence analyst in Iraq, was sentenced in 2013 to 35 years in prison after a military court conviction of providing more than 700,000 documents, videos, diplomatic cables, and battlefield accounts to the anti-secrecy group WikiLeaks. The case ranked as the biggest breach of classified material in U.S. history. Among the files Manning leaked in 2010 was a gunsight video of a U.S. Apache helicopter firing on suspected Iraqi insurgents in 2007, an attack that killed a dozen people, including 2 Reuters news staff. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
On June 4th, 1919, a group of bold, passionate men took it upon themselves to pass the Women's Suffrage Act, finally granting women the right to vote that they were too frail and helpless to achieve on their own. Having long watched women struggle to stand up for their right to choose elected officials, the strong and capable men decided to intercede and aid their weak female counterparts. And on June 6, 1972, David Bowie's release of his concept album, The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust, kick-started the glam rock genre and led to such spin-off trends as glam medicine, glam sports, and glamcatecture, all culminating in the 1976 presidential glam election. And that was what happened this week in history. In the words of French King John II, history will forever remember the great names of Alexander and Napoleon and Washington. But what about me, John II of France? I did stuff too.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can bring up what you want. Just dial toll free to join us here at 855-450-FREE. With you in studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Darryl.
We've got Skype. Our Skype username is lrn.fm, so feel free to connect with us there. And as we've been talking here about, or teasing, I guess, all night, the news about Venezuela. Yes, it has gotten even worse there, where people have been starving. They have been basically killing animals in the streets, dogs, stray dogs, cats, rats, whatever they can find to eat, because the grocery stores don't have any food. Why is that? Well, because of the government. Because the government took over the grocery stores, many of them, a while back.
Thanks, Obama.
No, actually, in this case, it was Nicolas Maduro, following in the footsteps of his predecessor, Hugo Chavez.
But Maduro blames America.
That's right.
For all of the problems in Venezuela.
Well, there was actually some of the emails that came out from the DNC, the hacked emails that came out recently, that did reveal that apparently there was some not so nice talk going on about Venezuela amongst Hillary Clinton and some others. But, yeah, it's definitely not the United States' fault that the country is not feeding itself. It's the government. One of the things they really screwed up, besides having socialist policies, was having a monetary policy that nailed the price of the bolivar, the strong bolivar, the bolivar fuerte, to the U.S. dollar at a set rate. Well, it turns out that you should let the market decide those rates rather than having the government centrally plan and control exchange rates, because that resulted in a tremendous black market level of activity where the black market price of a bolivar is 100 times less than the official government-based price. And that has resulted in all kinds of havoc being wreaked. And yes, there's some drought conditions, and the price of oil has gone down. So there are a bunch of economic factors that have gone into this. But to say that the bolivar should be 6.3 to 1, which they finally 6.3 bolivars to 1 U.S. dollar, which they then lowered, I think it was earlier this year, to 10 bolivars per U.S. dollar. But the black market rate for a U.S. dollar will get you around 1,000 bolivars. So that difference means that companies that want to, let's say, bring in food or bring in a pallet full of toilet paper to sell to people, they can't do it. Because the distributors that, if you are someone who's an international toilet paper salesperson and you want to do business in Venezuela, you don't want to get paid in bolivars because no one wants the bolivar on the global market.
Right, because the bolivar, even in Venezuela, doesn't buy anything.
That's right.
Partly because there's nothing on the shelf, and partly because the prices are so high, it's cheaper to use the bolivar as toilet paper.
It's getting that way with a ridiculous rate of inflation estimated at around 700%. So Financial Times, FT.com, has the latest on apparently the military. Now, remember, the last story we read about the military was that they were guarding food shipments, but also that some military members have been forced to kill goats and eat them because they didn't have any more food at their barracks. So it's even getting bad for people who are in the military, but generally the state is going to take care of their own, the state employees prior to any actual other humans. When two trucks loaded with soldiers pulled up outside his butcher shop in the Barrio Union slum of eastern Caracas, Daniel felt a deep unease. They went into all the shops in the area, forcing us to sell at a loss, says Daniel, which is not his real name, of the incident that happened earlier this month. The army men demanded that Daniel sell his beef at 250 bolivars, which is roughly 25 cents at black market rates, per kilo, even though he explained to them, as they were telling him to do this, as they were forcing him at gunpoint, because it's the military, to sell it below cost, he had to pay 3,000 bolivars to buy it from his suppliers. They had him sell his product that he had. It's hard enough to get anything in
Then
Venezuela.
he paid 3,000.
That's right. They forced him to sell it at less than a tenth of what he paid for it.
Wow.
So they say, quote, now this is Daniel, the shop owner. He says, they told me that the beef, get this, the beef belonged to the people and stayed 7 hours as a huge queue formed outside. So the word had gotten around. Oh, the military's in town. They're going to force the vendors in town to sell below cost. Everybody lines up. Because that's what happens when you sell below what a price is actually valued at. Stores understand this. That's why they have the oh God, what is it? The term?
Loss leaders?
Loss leader, thank you. Loss leader, like during the Black Friday season, where they'll sell, here's a 20-inch TV for a shockingly low price. Well, it turns out they might actually be losing $10 or whatever.
They might even give away a 20-inch TV because nobody wants one that small.
That's a good point. But my point being, these are what they do, is they'll sell it at below cost, and the idea is they're going to get people in to the door.
Right, because
they're going to buy
will
more.
go in to buy that thing, and then, oh, well, look, this thing's on sale, and that thing's on sale, and I need 2 of that.
Right. And it's one thing when Walmart or Kmart or whoever decides on their own volition to take a slight loss on a product in the hopes that that will garner more people coming through the door and that they'll win in the long run on that. That's a voluntary choice. It's another thing entirely when all you have in your store, because I've seen some of the photos, video from some of these stores in Venezuela, and they are just, it's desolate. There's almost nothing in them.
Right.
So this guy got a shipment of meat, and he's ready to sell it and possibly feed his family for a month or something like that. But nope, here comes the military saying that this isn't your meat, even though you paid the 3,000 bolivars for it. No, this isn't your meat. This belongs to the people, and you will sell it at the price we tell you to sell it, or else we'll put you in a prison cell.
So I just did a Google image search, and one thing that I like about Google is they'll let you sort by the most recent photos.
Okay.
So I'm showing things from the last week.
From Venezuela?
From where I typed in Venezuela shelves. And I'm seeing empty shelves and empty shelves and a little bit of product and then more empty shelves.
He says this was militarized. Originally, the gentleman is from Portugal. He said he saw television news reports of the coup attempt in Turkey. And he says, my first thought was that the same thing was also happening here. As socialist Venezuela faces its worst economic crisis in living memory, the country's armed forces, under the command of Defense Minister General Vladimir Padrino Lopez. Vladimir, that's a strange name for Hispanic.
Yes.
Have emerged as a key player.
Well, the Venezuelans are, because they're the socialists, they were friendly, or at least the government was friendly with the Russians, so it would not be, too unusual to name someone after someone that was respected.
Many were unnerved when Nicolas Maduro, the unpopular president this month, handed the military extraordinary powers to tackle ravaging shortages in a country where food and basic medicines are increasingly hard to find, and the inflation rate is forecast to top 700%. As well as taking charge of food production and distribution, Venezuela's ports have come under army control, and several government ministries now report directly to the defense minister and to Mr. Maduro. Giovanna Di Michele, a defense expert at Central University of Venezuela, says that, bolstered by these new powers, General Padrino Lopez is now, quote, the most powerful man in Venezuela. Low oil prices and years of mismanagement have left Venezuela's economy in a perilous state, with the economy set to shrink 10% this year. The crisis has given impetus to moves by opposition groups to remove Mr. Maduro from office via a so-called referendum, or a recall referendum, which is a process that's underway. Of course, Maduro is delaying that recall referendum as long as he possibly can. It's been stymied by the proposed vote. It's due to announce on Monday whether the next stage of the referendum can proceed. But in a region once known for military coups, observers say any transition away from Mr. Maduro would require the approval of the armed forces, even though General Padrino Lopez says his new responsibilities are, quote, a matter of discipline, not one of militarization. Can you tell the difference? It's a matter of discipline, he says. We're just going around telling people how to sell things. It's discipline. You need to learn to sell below cost.
It's not martial law. Right. We're just teaching you to be obedient.
That's right. Toll-free numbers 855-450-FREE. More on Venezuela, because the madness doesn't stop there. We'll continue, and you can share your thoughts. You can bring up anything you want. 855-450-FREE. When and where will it all end? When will things turn around? It doesn't look like it's going to be anytime soon.
When we ran out, we stopped using it.
Why would you stop?
Why undo all the good that's been accomplished? We thought everything was fine, and that was not a good thing.
No.
He started stinking. It was awful.
Shedding comes back, loss of hair, lots of dandruff.
Scratching will return. His shedding will increase.
If I ever took Roy off of Dinovite, he would go back to his hair loss.
DINOVITE.com.
859-428-1000.
When I get down to the bottom of my box of Dinovite,
When I get to about 3/4,
Oh no, I've got a couple more scoops.
it's time to place my order. Dinovite.com.
Each and every day she is getting a Dinovite.
The omega-3 fatty acids,
flaxseed, zinc, alfalfa,
the digestive enzymes that are cooked out of regular dog food.
Just feed your dog right. Use Dinovite. If it's working, don't quit.
Don't do what I did and run out. 859-428-1000.
859-428-1000.
DINOVITE.com.
This is a healthcare alert from the Pain Relief Hotline. If you, a family member, or a loved one suffers from knee, back, shoulder, or ankle pain and have Medicare as your primary insurance, we've got great news. You don't have to suffer any longer. You can immediately qualify for a pain-relieving brace at little or no cost to you by calling our 24/7 Pain Relief Hotline at 866-389-0620. Delivery is free and all paperwork is handled for you. If you are on Medicare and have knee, back, shoulder, or ankle pain, don't wait. You can qualify to immediately receive a pain-relieving brace at little or no cost by calling our 24/7 Pain Hotline now at 866-389-0620. Our representatives are standing by 24/7 to take your call and rush you your pain-relieving brace at little or no cost to you. Shipping is free and all paperwork is handled for you. Just call 866-389-0620. That's 866-389-0620. Again, 866-389-0620.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends radio show. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgoristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agorist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agorist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any tomfoolery. So go with AgoristHosting.com. And if you want to get your foot in the door with decentralized marketplaces, Agorist Hosting is now offering Open Bazaar hosting. Go to AgoristHosting.com, click on the button that says Get Hosted. Agorist Hosting, that's AGORIST hosting.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
Are you a political activist who does things that the government might not like? Then this free ebook may save your life. Rats is your guide to protecting yourself against snitches, informers, informants, agents provocateur, narcs, finks, and similar vermin. Rats was written by OG libertarian Claire Wolfe. Rats is a short book, easy to read, and available free in many formats. Download Rats free at rats-nosnitch.com. That's rats-nosnitch.com.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can take control of the airwaves. If you had to choose, would you rather be in Venezuela or North Korea? Because right now, Venezuela is starting to get pretty bad.
At least you have a better shot of leaving Venezuela.
Probably true.
Because there's not that 2.5 mile wide demilitarized zone with barbed wire and landmines and military on both sides.
Right. And there's a lot more of a land border as well.
Yes.
Between Venezuela and Colombia, for instance, and other countries. Also, there's more news coming out of Venezuela still. There's still some semblance of the ability to speak up there. although it's limited depending on what you say.
Right.
But wow, it's getting pretty bad. You've got a shocking story coming up here that you just found about Venezuela and their zoos. But
right,
first,
because I was trying to find out, because we did know and reported on a couple weeks ago where they temporarily opened the borders so that people could go to Colombia to go shopping. And so I did a search for Venezuela border sorted by most recent. And yeah, one of the top stories or most recent results was about their zoos, and hopefully we have time to get into this.
Yeah, it's outrageous. We'll definitely get into that here. You can join us toll free, 855-450 free. Now, if you are looking to escape where you are and come to a better place where there's more freedom, well, New Hampshire is that place, arguably one of the freest places in the entire world. And there are 101 great reasons why liberty lives in New Hampshire, why libertarians and voluntarists should consider a move here to get together with the largest community of liberty-oriented people. You can go to 101reasonsfilm.com. You can watch the hour-long documentary there. It's completely free, and it'll give you a taste of what it's like to actually be here in this community. I met a gentleman last night who's a listener of the show. He was at a get-together in Manchester. It's where I went when I was off last night. Listener of Free Talk Live said he would never have found this whole concept of libertarians moving together if it weren't for Free Talk Live, so he was very grateful for that. And there are a lot of people coming here like that, a lot of people who really want to be around people that understand liberty. Go to 101reasonsfilm.com. You won't regret it. It only takes an hour to watch it, and it's packed full of good information. Let's go to Ricky. He's in Pennsylvania. You're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Darryl. Hello, Ricky.
Good evening, brothers. How you doing tonight?
What's on your mind, Ricky?
Well, I wanted to do a little bit of a follow-up from last night. I know a caller called in, a Rudy from Arizona, and I guess he's doubting the things that I say, and he thought it was kind of funny. And, I wanted to clear up the procedure and things like that, first of all. I guess, I don't know if you heard.
What procedure? Can you remind us what you called in about last night?
I've been deputized. I'm a deputy of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Okay, so you're a cop?
No, I'm a deputy. Later on, after tonight, I probably only have so much time. I'll call in another night, and I'll tell you the difference. But I wanted to talk about the procedure, because he was saying I tried for an hour to find it on the Internet, and I couldn't. Now, I didn't have to, because I'm a Jeffersonian, so it was a natural, and we're talking Commonwealth law. That's a level at the
So being a Jeffersonian makes finding things on Google easier?
No. Me becoming a deputy. Forget him. You see, here's the procedure. It'll help him find out about it.
Apparently, you don't have to be able to put two sentences together in order to become a deputy in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, but you do got to do. Here's what it works. First of all, I had to say the oath 3 times. Are you sure? Are you sure you're sure? Or are you sure you're sure you're sure?
Oh, come on, Ricky. Unless you've got video of this, I don't believe it.
I had to get approval from the legislature for 45 minutes it took total.
You had to get a Google from the legislature?
No, he had to get approval.
Oh, approval.
So he's saying that the state legislature had to vote on whether or not Ricky becomes deputized.
No. They only had to do a phone call and a quick conference.
Well,
with the whole legislature?
That's not approval from the legislature, Ricky.
No, not the whole legislature.
Then don't use the term legislature if it's not the whole legislature. Words have meaning, Ricky. Ricky, words have meanings. Use the right words.
Yeah, if you want to communicate, which is what we're trying to do on Free Talk Live, then it helps if you actually use the words you're meaning to say.
Legislature.
That's like in New Hampshire, 400 people. I don't know how many in Pennsylvania.
There are 235 legislators in Pennsylvania.
No, you don't have to go through the whole legislature.
Then don't use the term legislature if you don't mean all 235 members.
Who did you go through? One of the members? A group of the members?
Okay, the girl that I'm protecting is right here, that I was deputized for. Would you like to talk to her?
Maybe. She's probably more coherent than you are. What's her name?
Wendy.
Wendy?
Hand her the phone.
Get Wendy
Hand her
on
the phone.
She's there.
I'm right here.
Okay, Wendy, are you being held hostage?
No.
No, okay. Now, do you know this man? Do you know him?
Yeah, he's a friend.
He's a friend. Okay.
Okay,
Now,
and he said that he got deputized to sort of oversee your probation or something. Is that correct?
protection or something.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so what was the process that he had to go through to get deputized?
Oh, okay. I mean, she'll confirm it. The process that I had to go for is it was.
We're asking
She's not
her.
answering the question.
We're asking
Ricky.
her what the process was. You're
Okay,
using words and saying that those aren't the words you mean to use. So we're trying to ask somebody
sorry for
that
this
can
lady.
put.
I will tell you the procedure. Stop arguing with me. And that scumbag the other night, you're talking to it. I'm not here to force anything.
Who's the
'cause I'm a
scumbag? Conan?
I don't know.
The guy that said I'm a liar, that I'm not a deputy. I actually brought something interesting to your show.
Who was it? Was it Conan?
No, there's some guy that called in.
Find anything about the internet. I did research for 2 hours, for 2 days.
Well, you must be finding the truth if you've been researching things for 2 days.
No, it's right on their website and things. There's materials for people.
So, Ricky, how many of the 235 members of the Pennsylvania House of Representatives did you have to talk to get deputized?
No, first of all, I will tell you the procedure.
I don't want to hear the procedure, Ricky. I'm really
either
tired of it.
answer the question of how many.
He's full of it. He's just making stuff up.
The parole officer, it took 45 minutes total. I told most of the process last night.
Why would they want to give deputy powers to you, Ricky? That's what I don't understand. I mean, you can barely express yourself.
Conan knows. If you listen to your own show, Ian,
All right,
you know.
we'll ask Conan. Maybe he can better explain it. Thanks for the call tonight. And no, I didn't listen to the show last night.
Here's a little bit of information. When we're not on the show, we're generally not listening to the show.
Sometimes I do. It just depends on, the circumstances or whatever. I do like to sometimes check in with what's going on.
Right, but that's a sometimes.
Yeah.
My statement was generally.
Yeah. Okay, true.
Meaning that it's not the standard, it's my night off, let me sit here and listen to every word that's said during the next 3 hours.
Right. Not that I would have been able to understand what Ricky was saying last night had I been listening when he called, because whether you're listening to Ricky or talking to Ricky, it doesn't matter. You cannot really make heads or tails of what it is. He sounds like he's saying
It went
something.
to the legislature, but not the full legislature, the legislature.
He's deputized to protect some lady
to serve as probation officer.
He lets her on the phone for 20 seconds, and then when you ask her a meaningful question, he takes the phone back from her. I'm a little worried that lady's under his capture or something like that. I mean, she said she's okay, so God, can you imagine spending more than 5 minutes with that guy?
No.
It's Free Talk Live, 855-450 free.
Attention backpackers, on a budget, why spend $80 to $300 to pump clean survival water? Introducing the Viva Water Pump Kit from Viva Outdoor Products. Super easy to use and super lightweight at only 6.5 ounces, the Viva Water Pump Kit provides high flow rate at 1 ounce per stroke, can be one hand pumped, and is dependable and affordable at only $24.99, filter not included. Get your Viva Water Pump Kit at viba-odp.com from Viva Outdoor Products.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of slingbow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty and peace around the globe worth 15 cents per day to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as sub-Saharan Africa. Last year, we did a fundraiser that successfully covered the costs of continuing our African channel. This year, we're hoping to raise enough to fund a new satellite signal that will cover Europe, North Africa, and much of the Middle East. You can donate as much or as little as you like via the Indiegogo campaign at fund.lrn.fm. And there are perks available like sitting in on your favorite LRN.FM show, exclusive shiny badges, or even naming a satellite channel. Please contribute now at fund.lrn.fm and help us continue our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. The fundraiser ends August 19th, so please visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. That's fund.lrn.fm.
This is your Roberts & Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Friday, gold is $10 higher at $1,346 per ounce, and silver is 10 cents higher at $20.31 per ounce. Bitcoin is currently trading at $653 US. Gold and silver have been a means of storing wealth during every financial crisis and war throughout history. To see how we can help, call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that tenth of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Work with your doctor when taking medications. Make Protovite part of your healthy lifestyle.
HealthForLiberty.com is your source for Protovite, a powerful nutritional supplement that's a true breakthrough for your health. Poor digestion makes it nearly impossible to absorb the nutrition your body needs. Protovite is a liquid multi-nutrient formula with patent-pending absorption technology and the highest quality ingredients to nourish every cell in your body.
My name is Sandra White. 6 weeks ago, when I started taking Protovite, I was on 14 medications, from everything for blood pressure to fibromyalgia. In the first 10 days, my blood sugar dropped 50 points, and my fibromyalgia pain is gone. And so was 12 of the 14 medications that I was taking. I'm 66, living life and loving it.
Go to healthforliberty.com right now. That's healthforliberty.com.
Thank you, Protovite, for giving my life back.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You may join us. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Ian and Darryl in the studio tonight. Darryl, your project is Liberty Lobbyist. This is the thing that you've created after your presidential attempt. You attempted to get the nomination from the Libertarian Party, and unfortunately they gave it to someone else who is not as principled as you. But you will continue taking the principles of liberty to the halls of power in New Hampshire. What's going on with that?
Yeah, so I am trying to monetize something that I've been doing for the last couple of years on my own dime, where on a regular basis I will go to Concord, go to legislative committee hearings, and testify in favor of more freedom and less government. And what I'm doing with Liberty Lobby LLC is trying to be a lobbyist for the regular person. Because most people, when they think of lobbyists, they think of representatives of big, greedy special interests. Mm-hmm. Well, I think that regular, everyday people that want more freedom need to be represented as well.
Right,
and
you're not
I'm
representing,
not seeing that.
You're not representing regular people who want less freedom. You're representing regular people who want more freedom.
Yes. And, if you support that, you support having somebody, in a lot of cases, being the only person speaking to a legislative committee in favor of freedom, then, throw a few dollars my way. LibertyLobby.xyz.
How do you accept donations?
PayPal and Bitcoin. Can also do Ether, but you cannot make recurring Ether donations at this time.
Right.
But you can do recurring PayPal and recurring Bitcoin contributions to libertylobby.xyz.
And that's the website, libertylobby.xyz.
And let me just mention real quick what the goal is, because most people are thinking, lobbyists, that's really expensive. Well, I'm cheap.
Yes,
I'm only seeking $5,000 per year. And even if I don't make that goal, I'm still going to go to Concord as often as possible. What the money going through Liberty Lobby LLC will allow me to do is to take additional days off work from making affiliate relations phone calls for Free Talk Live.
Because you don't get paid if you're not here.
Right. If I'm not working, I'm not getting paid. So I'm just trying to, get reimbursed for a little bit of my time.
So, libertylobby.xyz, you can help out Darryl there.
And I tried finding information on how one gets deputized in Pennsylvania, and it appears to be fairly simple.
Talk to the whole legislature and then fill out some forms.
The chairperson of the Pennsylvania Board of Probations and Parole may deputize any person to act as an officer or agent of the Commonwealth in effecting the return of any person who has violated the terms and conditions of parole or probation as granted by the Commonwealth. In any matter related to the return of such person, an agent so deputized shall have all the powers of a police officer. That's general rule, and then it doesn't say anything about the process.
Yeah.
Now, I did find something about the process of becoming an actual parole officer, and I don't know if people that are deputized have to go through any of this, but there are special trainings that you have to go through.
I suspect Ricky
you have to go through basic skills academies. Yeah. You have to go through a 5-day initial firearms course. You have to take the use of force curriculum. There's nothing in here about going before the legislature at all. And now I'm trying to remember if when I worked as a security guard at a hospital in Pennsylvania, I think I was deputized for the purpose of writing parking tickets.
So if you want to join us, toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's enough about Ricky. We go back to Venezuela, where things are actually affecting the lives of others. Let's go and back to the story here from the Financial Times about the head of the military. Now, this is a new character for me, and we've been following along with Nicolas Maduro, the president of the country, as he leads Venezuela. As he leads Venezuela down into the toilet of socialist failures of history. But this guy, this leader of the military, Vladimir Padrino Lopez, is now being called the most powerful man in Venezuela. He's sending troops into storefronts and demanding that they sell food at below cost. In a co-written article on the Latin America Goes Global website, Javier Corrales, a Venezuelan scholar at Amherst College in the U.S., says the decision to lean more heavily on the army is, quote, the clearest sign that a dangerously weak government rapidly losing control of the situation has taken desperate measures to survive. Yet with polls suggesting Venezuelans favor removing the president, Corrales says, quote, another possible interpretation, this is a semi-coup by the military against a rudderless, ineffective, and discredited Maduro government. Others, however, believe little has changed in a country with a history of state control over the economy. Francisco Rodriguez, the Venezuelan chief economist at Torino Capital, a U.S. investment bank, says, quote, we do not see this role as unprecedented, nor do we believe it signals a change in terms of the relative power of the military in society. Unquote. Since the 2002 coup attempt that briefly ousted the late Hugo Chavez, Mr. Maduro's predecessor and the ideological inspiration for Venezuelan socialism, the country's armed forces have been stacked with loyal generals in an attempt to create what the president calls a civic military union. Analysts say the military assures social control for the Maduro government in return for preferential access to goods and hard currency. An opposition rally in Caracas on Wednesday to demand the activation of the recall vote was swamped by an overwhelming presence of security forces. Maduro has also promoted a number of army figures, including General Padrino Lopez, an experienced and decorated soldier respected by his troops, to senior government positions. One close colleague says the defense minister is a conciliator who's respectful of the institutions and who will sacrifice anything to follow an order. I fear Maduro wants Padrino Lopez there to keep enemies away, but he will drag him down with him.
So the statement about he's respected by those within the military, do they mean respected as in people look at him as, oh, yes, he's a wise man, or respected in the sense of,
he'll kill you.
I'm scared of this guy. I'm going to do what he says so I don't end up dead.
I suspect it's the latter. But the quote doesn't make that clear. With food riots becoming commonplace and Venezuelans flocking in thousands to neighboring Colombia in search of food, the armed forces face a difficult task to stave off further unrest. Diego Moya Ocampo, senior analyst at the IHS Risk Consultancy, says it's clear the military will play a bigger role over the next 12 months as the Army takes control of most sectors of the economy, which will mitigate the risks of a coup against Maduro unless sustained riots and looting over food shortages escalate. This will do little to lessen the unease of Daniel, the butcher, who is old enough to recall the long dictatorship of his native Portugal of Salazar. When the military have too much power, he says, they always abuse. And guess what else they're up to? According to CNN Money, the same military, the same gentleman who's in charge there, Vladimir Padrino Lopez, he's now forcing Venezuelans into the fields. In a vaguely worded decree, Venezuelan officials indicate that public and private sector employees could be forced to work in the country's fields for at least 60-day periods, which may be extended, quote, if circumstances merit, unquote.
The beatings will continue until morale improves.
Trying to tackle Venezuela's severe food shortages by forcing people to work in the fields is like trying to fix a broken leg with a Band-Aid, says Amnesty International's director of the Americas. President Nicolas Maduro is using his executive powers to declare a state of economic emergency. By using a decree, he can legally circumvent Venezuela's opposition-led National Assembly, their Congress, which is staunchly against all of his actions.
Hey, Maduro, here's a suggestion if you're listening. Put Brondo on the plants because it's got electrolytes, and that's what plants crave, or so I've heard.
According to the decree from July 22nd, workers would still be paid their normal salary by the government, and they can't be fired from their actual job. So if they actually have a job, they can be removed from that job for up to 60 days and forced to go work in the fields. But, oh, don't worry, you'll still get your paycheck from the government, apparently. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. You know where else people are forced to work in the fields, right?
Slave plantations.
North Korea. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. You can join us here as things keep getting worse. We'll tell you what the zoos are like coming up.
This is a life-changing message for anyone with sleep apnea who is on the go and tired of dragging around a big, bulky home CPAP device. MiniCPAP.com now offers a portable device that's as small as a soda can and weighs less than a pound. For even more freedom, you can add a battery that's as tiny as a deck of cards. It's called the Transcend Mini CPAP, and right now you can try it risk-free for 10 days by calling 1-800-941-9483. Transcend is the world's first portable mini CPAP device. It gives you the freedom to sleep in total comfort anywhere you are. Our smallest and most advanced portable design ever, Transcend is so small and so light you can fit it in your briefcase or purse to use anywhere you go. It's FAA compliant, too, so you can even sleep comfortably while flying. Enjoy the freedom to sleep comfortably anywhere. Call minicpap.com now for your 10-day at-home trial. 1-800-941-9483. That's 1-800-941-9483.
Are you worried about your mom or dad living alone in their house? Hi, I'm Joan London. Listen, I know how difficult it is to find senior care for someone you love. That's why I recommend a free service called A Place for Mom. They are the nation's largest senior living referral service. Call A Place for Mom today.
To receive free information on senior living communities in your area, call A Place for Mom at 1-800-704-6182.
A Place for Mom offers free one-on-one advice from local advisors and a personalized list of senior living communities you can visit. If you have questions about senior care for your mom or dad, there's a place for answers, A Place for Mom.
Call A Place for Mom in the next 10 minutes to get your free ebook on financing senior care as well as free information on senior living communities in your area. Call 1-800-704-6182. That's 1-800-704-6182.
Americans across the nation made their voices heard this week as they demanded more mind-blowing guitar solos. Calling for the solos to be, quote, face-meltingly cool and go on for well over 10 minutes, Americans stressed that all guitar solos from now on should be equally as kick-ass as those in Van Halen's Hot for Teacher and AC/DC's Thunderstruck, or even better.
It should start out really slow, and then get faster and faster until they're all the way up at the top of the guitar neck and bending the notes like crazy. So it's like, and then there's all this awesome pyrotechnic stuff going off in the background. They should all be like that.
And in this week's local news, a report noted that on its surface, Glenbrook, Ohio is a small town like any other, a peaceful all-American town. And yet, the report's authors added, if you only look closer, what you find may surprise you. In other news, a man is just having one of those decades where he doesn't feel like doing anything.
This is the Onion News Network.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
If you want to move to the free state and you're looking for some real estate.
Oof, I think we've all had enough of that jingle, don't you? If you're going to invest in property in New Hampshire, it just makes sense to support a liberty-friendly realtor. Call Mark Warden of Team Porcupine Real Estate for investment property or rentals in the Free State, or visit his website. Come on, you know it.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. We invite you to join us here, toll free, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Skype username is LRN.FM. And if you enjoy Free Talk Live and you want to help support the show, please AMP Free Talk Live. The AMP program stands for Advertise, Market, and Promote. And the idea is you send $5 a month into Free Talk Live. We invest that in the show, use it to market Free Talk Live more effectively to radio stations, to expand our internet listenership, exposing new people to the ideas of freedom. And you can do it for $5 a month. You get perks like access to the AMP-only call-in lines, the AMP-only Facebook group, and we promise we will never send you into the fields to work for Free Talk Live like they're doing.
We don't even
Venezuela.
have fields.
No, that's true. There's a little box that people are supposed to be planting things in next door here to the studio, but they never really do.
Yeah, every year for the last 4 years that I've been here, somebody has said that they were going to do something with it, and they'll weed it out at the beginning.
Yep.
And then they plant something, but then they never tend to the little garden box.
And it ends up getting overgrown like it is right now.
With weeds.
So
Not that kind of weed, just like regular weeds.
The AMP program is something you do to voluntarily support Free Talk Live because you like what we're doing. So please go to the AMP program at amp.freetalklive.com. You can sign up with any major credit card, Visa or MasterCard, right on our website. But you can use any major credit card through PayPal. So different ways to get signed up. You get the perks like access to the AMP-only call-in lines, the AMP-only Facebook group, and the AMP-only podcast. Go to AMP, A-M-P, amp.freetalklive.com. You're going to tell us in a moment here how bad it's gotten for the Zeus, because we know the people of Venezuela are hungry. They're standing in huge lines just to get a chance to buy some of the most basic staples before they run out, before these very slim supply lines run dry, crossing the border into Colombia in tens of thousands of numbers over a recent weekend when Maduro graciously allowed these hungry people to actually go to a place where they could get some food. And now, as we're finding out from Amnesty International, there is a decree coming out of Presidente Maduro, officially published earlier this week. It establishes that people working in public and private companies can be called upon to join state-sponsored organizations specialized in the production of food. Let me tell you, if it's a state organization, they're not that special at making food. Generally, the state is terrible at pretty much everything that it does. But that's all that's what they've got left is total state control and distribution. They'll be made to work in these new companies temporarily for a minimum of 60 days, after which their contracts, they've got that in quotes, will be automatically renewed for an extra 60-day period.
Well, what's the statement? There's nothing so permanent as a temporary government project?
Government program. In this case, their contracts will be automatically renewed for another 60-day period, or they'll be allowed to go back to their original jobs. Now, what do you think will happen If you say to the military men when they come to tell you, Darryl, we're taking you away from Free Talk Live. You are no longer going to be hosting the radio. We need you in the field, sir. And you say no.
I'm guessing you will be met with a small piece of metal that is traveling at a high velocity out of a long metal tube.
Oh, they might just gun butt you to the face, knock you out, and put you in a prison cell. I mean, they won't necessarily execute you. But then again, if they execute you, they don't have to feed you.
Right.
So maybe they will execute. Because the military's got to eat, and they're going to eat before you do. So the military's going to use slave labor.
Depending on what they have lying around as food, they might eat you. I don't know. Yep. I've not heard reports of cannibalism out of Venezuela, but it would not surprise me.
So, yeah, that's the latest from the human side of Venezuela, and it's becoming more and more inhuman as time goes on. But what about the zoos of Venezuela? How are those animals being treated in this economic downturn created by the state?
Well, the animals in the zoos are not doing well either, with a lot of animals starving to death. Reports of at least 50 animals having died in the last 6 months. And some of the zoos are relying on donations from already strained businesses to feed their animals.
Oh, man.
Oslinder Montoya, an accountant involved with the zoo's funding, that being one particular zoo, La Laguna, says, we're doing all of this as humanly possible to ensure the zoos continue to function. Says that some of the dead animals include Vietnamese pigs, tapirs, rabbits, and birds, while some of the animals have not eaten in over 2 weeks. Curiacao zoo staffers.
2 weeks.
Yes.
That would kill some people.
Yes.
Right? I mean, isn't it like 2-3 weeks is like the maximum you can go with no food or something like that?
About 3 or 4 if you have sufficient water.
Okay.
Caracal zoo staffers have been feeding carnivorous lions and tigers diets of mango and pumpkin.
Oh, wow.
Elephants are eating tropical fruit instead of hay, and other big cats are reportedly being fed slaughtered thoroughbred horses from a nearby racetrack. Meredith Whitney, a wildlife rescue program officer, says long-term feeding the incorrect diet for any animal can have significant long-lasting health effects. Staffers are now attempting to move 12 animals more than 420 miles south to a park in Merida, saying if these zoos continue to operate after these animals are transferred and get new animals, the suffering could arise again. The tragedy goes on as Venezuelans desperately search for basic food supplies themselves.
I would say the best option at this point would be to sell the animals to the highest bidder. These are rare animals, typically. They're things that collectors, people that love animals, that love rare animals like tigers or whatever, would probably value fairly highly. You probably have to ship them outside of Venezuela to get any decent amount, unless there's still probably a very few rich people that are left in Venezuela who might be willing to buy them. But, man, just shut down the whole operation at this point.
Marlene Cifuentes, union leader for In the Parques employees, told Reuters, the story of the animals at Caracal is a metaphor for Venezuelan suffering. The nation's starving economy has driven people to hunt dogs, cats, and pigeons for food, and I think we talked about that a few weeks ago. On Monday, visitors to a zoo in Caracas, the nation's capital, stole a horse and butchered it for meat.
Oh, man. I was going to say, I can't even imagine that these people in Venezuela are actually going to the zoo. But I guess if your intention is to steal the animals so you can eat them, that does give you a reason to go ahead and pay whatever the cost is to get into the zoo.
Right, and I'm wondering, of these 50 animals that have died in the last 6 months, how many of them were killed by people visiting the zoo so that they could have a meal?
Yeah, excellent question. Pretty sad stuff, man. I mean, that's the kind of story that's going to get people to pay attention to Venezuela.
Yes.
Because people love to care about animals, but not so much about fellow humans.
Right, and the picture that they have, and this is one of the times where pictures with articles are absolutely amazing, especially when it's what's the term that they use?
The picture's worth 1,000 words?
No, there's a term that they use for the picture that's up above the
featured?
headline. Yes.
Okay.
The featured image is a baby orangutan just staring into the camera.
Does it look skinny and like starving?
It looks like a sad little baby orangutan. Yeah. And it's one of those things, like, it will grab your attention. And it'll be like, oh, I want to see what's wrong with the sad little baby orangutan.
Oh, it's starving due to socialism.
Yes.
Oh, boy. All right, so you can join us here. You can share your thoughts on Venezuela. It's so sad to watch things continually get worse there. I was really elated when I saw that they'd opened the border, 2 weeks ago now? There was a
couple weeks ago.
There were 2 weekends in a row, one weekend and then another weekend, where they opened the border to Colombia. People could cross over for the weekend. They could do shopping, come back. They could actually feed their families, presuming they had enough money to actually, buy the food. And I thought that was probably the best thing that the Venezuelan government had done so far, and kudos to the Colombian government for allowing the people to come across. And of course, it's business for them, so they wanted it to happen. But I was also reading a story that I didn't add to show prep because it was just too, we talked about Venezuela quite a bit, that did talk about the number of people who went there and did not come back, which was likely at least 10,000 of the people. There were tens of thousands of people, like over 100,000.
Yeah, I think it was 130,000.
That went over one weekend, yeah, and then more on the previous weekend. So the estimate was that 10% of those people went there and did not return, and are living illegally in Colombia now as a result of that.
Good.
Yeah, absolutely. I would much rather risk whatever the hell might happen to be, an illegal immigrant, if you will, into Colombia rather than starve in Venezuela.
Being in a Colombian jail is probably better than being, quote-unquote, free in Venezuela.
Or in a Venezuelan jail and starving in a Venezuela jail. We'll see you tomorrow night online. In the meantime, join us at freetalklive.com.
Adam.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
This is the Liberty Radio.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Friday, July 29th, 2016. Silver is trading at $20.10 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,335 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $660. Antiwar.com reports they've been fighting the same enemies for a while now, but on Thursday, Yemen's Shiite Houthis have announced a formal alliance with former President Ali Abdullah Saleh, leading to the establishment of a new ruling council with the seats to be split evenly between Houthis and Saleh's General People's Congress. The two sides agree to continue working together against the Saudi-led invasion of the country, which aims to reinstall former President Abdrabbu Mansour Hadi in power. The pro-Saudi forces control the southern coast, including Aden, while the Houthis control most of the north, including Sana'a. Saleh was president of North Yemen from 1978 to 1990 and president of Yemen from its establishment in 1990 through early 2012, when the U.S. brokered a deal wherein General Hadi would be elected to a 2-year term as president in a one-candidate ballot. Hadi ultimately extended his term in office, claiming the country was not ready for an election, but lost the capital city of the Houthi government after a failed offensive against major Houthi cities in the far north. Hadi resigned in January of 2015, and Saudi Arabia attacked a few months later, vowing to reinstall him at all cost. The Saudis had sought Saleh's approval for the operation since he remained influential, particularly with the former Yemeni military. Saleh declined, claiming he wanted to remain neutral, but sided with the Houthis after a Saudi airstrike destroyed his home in a failed assassination attempt. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports U.S. soldier Private Chelsea Manning, imprisoned for passing classified files to WikiLeaks, now stands accused of misconduct stemming from her suicide attempt earlier this month and could land in solitary confinement indefinitely, according to her lawyers. The transgender Army private, who was born a man but revealed after being convicted of espionage that she identifies as a woman, was notified by the Army on Thursday that she was under investigation, according to the American Civil Liberties Union. The ACLU, which has acknowledged a suicide attempt by Manning earlier this month, said the 28-year-old soldier remains despondent over what the Civil Liberties Group describes as the Army's continued denial of appropriate health care for her. The ACLU denounced the latest disciplinary action as unconscionable. ACLU staff lawyer Chase Strangio said in a statement, "While Chelsea is suffering the darkest depression she has experienced since her arrest, the government is taking actions to punish her for that pain." Pentagon and Army officials did not immediately reply to Reuters' request for comment. A transcript of the Army notice of investigation, as dictated over the phone by Manning to one of her supporters and posted online by the ACLU, makes no explicit mention of a failed suicide attempt. But Manning was told the inquiry stemmed from her July 5th attempt to take her own life, which led to her being hospitalized for 24 hours. The circumstances of the incident have not been disclosed, but the ACLU said it occurred in her cell and she lost consciousness. Manning has since been returned to confinement at the disciplinary barracks at Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, where she remains in a medical observation unit. The notice lists 3 administrative offenses for which Manning is under investigation: resisting the forced cell move team, prohibited property, and conduct which threatens. Manning has yet to respond to the charges. If convicted, she could face punishment that includes indefinite solitary confinement, reclassification into maximum security, and an additional 9 years in medium security. Manning, a former intelligence analyst in Iraq, was sentenced in 2013 to 35 years in prison after a military court conviction of providing more than 700,000 documents, videos, diplomatic cables, and battlefield accounts to the anti-secrecy group WikiLeaks. The case ranked as the biggest breach of classified material in U.S. history. Among the files Manning leaked in 2010 was a gunsight video of a U.S. Apache helicopter firing on suspected Iraqi insurgents in 2007, an attack that killed a dozen people, including 2 Reuters news staff. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Following earlier reports of 27-year-old Mark Felder's profound and startling level of pride in his alma mater, the University of Miami alumnus spoke to Onion reporters about his strong affection for the academic institution that left him totally unprepared for the job market and floundering in $50,000 of debt.
I would not trade my time at the University of Miami for anything. Miami has the best college experience in the country, hands down. I had an awesome time there, and it's an amazing place. We've got awesome bars, awesome sports, an awesome campus, and we're pretty much right next to the beach. I mean, what more could you want? You'd have to be crazy not to go there.
Felder, who paid over $140,000 in tuition, told reporters he takes an annual trip to see a Hurricanes football game and visit the university that failed to teach him any marketable job skills whatsoever, leaving him so financially helpless he was forced to move back in with his parents after graduating.
AMI, fight, fight, fight. Yeah, it's all about the U, baby. All about the U. That's what I'm talking about. Go Canes, baby.
For more on this story, check this week's Onion Review.
This is the Onion News Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are experiencing technical difficulties. Please stand by.
And welcome to Anarchy After Dark, where Ian is our producer tonight in the LRN.FM studios in
That's exciting.
Goddamn Keene, New Hampshire.
Yeah.
And he's already managed to piss me off. Fucking angle the mic up at yourself. Blah, blah, blah.